What is going on, everybody? It is episode 550 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here once again on this beautiful Friday afternoon with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. Happy Friday. Unfortunately, Brett's money gun has broken. It's gone rogue, so...
Well, this never happens to me.
Yeah, that's sad. Unfortunate, truly, but that's fine because we have a special guest on the show. I'm happy to announce Mason Musso is here.
What's up? Thank you both so much for having me.
Thank you for coming.
I'm going to say right now, so you know, we've had a lot of guests come through here, quite a few, some big names. This is the first time I've ever seen Mary actually really excited.
No, I definitely know more about Metro Station lore than the average person, to make an understatement.
I'm very sorry.
So I did a lot of research for this show,
and she's like, "You call this a job?"
I'm doing what I love.
Yeah.
So
if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. That's what they tell me.
Well, I'm a big fan of you guys, so thank you so much for having me.
It was so weird. I saw you in the comments on our Instagram, and I was like, excuse me? Who is this that he saw our content?
I think you guys are funny. You guys do great work.
I was just like, I saw scene royalty.
Oh my goodness.
That's why I
guess
out.
Yeah, scene royalty.
The funnier thing being that I actually lived through the age where scene was a thing, and Mary's almost too young to remember when.
Yeah.
Scene was a
Almost?
thing.
No, I just am.
She's just too young to remember.
Yeah.
When
I just
Scene was a
am.
thing. Yeah.
It was a more like warped tour. I mean, I wouldn't even say that Metro Station's music was like alternative in and of itself.
Definitely the scene. We can be put into
aesthetically,
that. Yes,
as you guys could see from the thumbnail today, Mason doesn't look like he used to. He had the swoopy hair, he had the fingerless gloves, the skinny jeans and all.
I still have gloves.
A lot has changed.
But they now have fingers.
Yeah.
So.
I actually just the other day spent like 20 minutes reading through
I got gloves still.
reading through the IMDb of Hollywood Undead.
Oh yeah.
I was like, whatever happened to those guys?
Yeah.
They're still. I only did it because I was thinking back to how many times they said the F slur in their songs, and and I
that was
like,
a common occurrence.
And I was like, I wonder if they still do that.
They're very raunchy, but definitely they still do well. I think. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it was really funny. I was just like, I wonder if they still use the F slur when they're doing their show. They'd probably edit that out now.
They had a moment on TikTok.
Yeah.
Back in like 2020, and Gen Z was not ready for it.
Yeah, that would be a hard one to get Gen Z to actually commit to without being really offended. I think it's and to be fair, my generation when they were listening to that was mostly like at house parties and probably inebriated anyways. So it was good times.
Oh yeah,
it was good times back.
Was
then.
one of the guys Charlie 40 Hands?
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah.
No.
I don't know if Mary's ever done Charlie 40 done that in your hands. It's like Edward Scissorhands. You do Edward 40 Hands. You just tape 240.
I've never done it, but I've seen people do it.
Got
Feel
it. Have
bad
you
for
done
them.
that?
I might have.
So that's a yes.
Back in the day.
So that's a yes.
We got some $20 ones there. You want to read those?
Oh, I didn't see these. Yep. Thank you. Not that John Stewart. Happy Friday. Let's go.
Let's go.
Question mark?
Yep.
Corey Anderson said the red pants in the Shake It video always bothered me, and I don't know why. At least
Really?
I think they were red. I'm color deficient.
Were they red?
They were red, they were, I guess, maroon. I don't know. I think they were red. My
Scarlet.
My mom bought me those, and I was like, these are gonna really work. I could really make these work in the video. So I wore them. People loved them.
So was that before the song came out that you filmed the music video, or after?
It was after. Columbia Records didn't think "Shake It" was a single.
Okay.
The album came out, and they
That's
pushed
crazy.
Kelsey. They pushed Control. They pushed 17. Not 17 Forever yet.
Everyone says
other ones, not Shake It.
17 Forever is creepy now, and I'm like, you realize they were 17.
I was 17 when it came out. There's definitely, I don't know. I think
also Control was the underrated song.
that was a bop. That was a bop.
So we got a bunch of stuff to get into.
I was
today.
16 actually when 17 Forever came out.
So she's
Because
actually
it was on
older than you.
MySpace. I was 16.
So she's actually the criminal in this one. She's the bad guy.
Well, not a criminal. But you get what I mean. Everyone listens to that song and is like, "This is creepy."
Yeah.
I was just reading an article about how they want everyone in Hollywood now when they play romantic partners, they have to be exactly the same age. They want age parity in all their relationships, lest it be creepy. So, you know, we got a bunch of stuff to get into today. But before we get started, guys, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel, please, if you have not done so already. We have passed 101,000 subscribers, which is a huge accomplishment for us, guys. So thank you very much for that.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. And share this video with your friends so that more people can come in here, hang out, watch these episodes, and hopefully they share with their friends. Like I said, it's a multi-level marketing scam. We want to trick everyone to find their way in here so we can all hang out with each other, and then the show will grow. Also remember, as you just saw, all super chats $20 and over, we will interrupt the discussion. We will read those super chats right then and there, and then we will do our best to get back on topic. So I say, if you guys are ready, we will just get right into it. Mary, are you ready?
Let's go.
Mason, are you ready?
I'm ready.
He's ready. All right.
I'm nervous, but I'm ready.
No, you're gonna be good. Oh, I'll pull the mic up. Bring it up. Yeah,
Yep.
you want to get it up by?
Okay.
Yep, perfect. All right, let's go ahead and get started then. First things first. Yesterday, we talked about how Jennifer Lopez is the world's biggest narcissist, and she's about to embark on this movie about her love with Ben Affleck. Well, Ben Affleck seems to have responded because he is now making a movie with his ex-wife, Jennifer Garner, or
Now,
reportedly.
suspiciously, whenever he's out with the kids and hanging out with his ex-wife,
He's always so happy.
He looks so happy-go-lucky. He suddenly looks like he's not being emotionally terrorized.
Yeah.
He's not sad Fleck anymore. He's happy Fleck.
Hat Fleck.
So
He always looks a little depressed.
could there be a little something rekindling here? That's what I want to know.
If it was okay, so here's the thing: if this was a movie. I always said that it would have gone the opposite way. In the movie, he would have started out with Jennifer Garner, who's the one that's clearly for him. Then he would have ended up with Jennifer Lopez, who clearly treats him horribly. And then he would have ended up back with Jennifer Garner, who treats him well. But this real life movie went in reverse. He started out with the woman who treats him horrible, found someone who seemed to treat him well, and now he's back with the lady
But then
who treats
he
him
effed
horribly.
it up.
Yes.
Went back to the crazy one.
Yeah. It's not good. So you know, they're gonna make a movie together. Maybe they'll end up making maybe they'll do Daredevil and Elektra again someday. But we'll wait and
Well,
see.
he'll be directing it, but he's not in it. Matt Damon is.
Even the Super Bowl commercial that him and J-Lo did, it just felt a little awkward.
It
You know,
does.
Well, in her role in that commercial, she's supposed to be like embarrassed of him.
right, exactly, yes.
Yeah, and
I don't know.
He does always look just a general like air of sadness, which
Yes.
I guess back in the day would have translated to like, look, he looks so complicated.
Right.
Like this
Yeah.
this might be a little too dark, but if he, ended his life one day, everyone would be
my.
like, we saw that coming.
No, it's
He has had like alcohol problems and
They
stuff,
would
right? I think?
post all of the photos of him grabbing Dunkin' Donuts, looking sad, and they would be like, "How did we not see this coming?"
What were the signs?
This is such a depressing,
What were the
signs?
signs?
Yeah.
This is such a depressing start to the show.
And one day, that was his last iced coffee
His
straw.
last donut.
Yeah, it's gonna be really sad. But let's
The
hope-
Dunkin' employee is a little bit rude to him.
Let's
He's like,
hope-
"What if that was my last straw?"
Yeah.
Let's just hope that that's not what happens.
Yes,
here. I
that's
think-
right.
And
Yes.
the other thing is like
There's
is a
still
relationship.
time.
When he was going through his because he was in a rough place back in like the the mid 2010s. He, like you said, he has
remember.
his issues with alcohol.
Yeah.
Like he was making he was finally getting to play Batman, who he always wanted to play, and he didn't even get to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because of all the turbulence going on in his life. He needs to. I don't know why he just doesn't retire. I guess somebody like that, because he's so well known and he's done so many projects, and he's a producer and he's a director. He's a creative. He loves to act. He loves to direct. He loves to write. So he probably feels really, really like empty if he's not actually working on stuff.
Yeah.
So, and that can probably be a little bit torturous, right? To not have something to work
100%.
on.
Yeah.
So, like, what's the point of even having the FU retirement money if you can't say FU and retire?
Yeah.
Mentally.
Good point.
Yeah.
That sucks.
His kids are still pretty young, right?
Yes, teenagers, right?
There's a whole thing too, like when you retire, if you don't have something to do, people die earlier.
Yes.
They don't have something.
Well, he has this
to do,
production
you know?
company with Matt Damon, right?
like
So
him
that's
and
how the
Matt
movie's
Damon.
getting made.
I think that's also going to go away. Like a lot of it used to be like when people had like a strong connection with their employer.
Yeah.
And like it's like cops, right? They'll say like a lot of cops will die 5 years after retirement
Right.
because they just don't have anything else.
A reason to get up in the morning.
Yeah, and I just don't feel like that's the way society is going now. Now society is going to champion you to retire as quickly as
Yep.
you want, right?
Yep.
Like how many cops make their 20 and just retire, whereas most of them keep working, right? Because like you said, it's not just a job for them; it's a career and it's a life, right? So maybe he just can't quit and do something that, or the other option is like, look, I could stay home, but she's at home. I gotta go to work.
Yeah, no,
He's like, I like her just in small doses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
All right. Well, I wish the best to him. I hope he figures it out. That Dunkin' Donuts ad that he made with the Dunkin' Donuts like suit, with like the tracksuit, sold out like all of them in like less than 20 minutes.
Who is going to wear that out in public?
People in Boston. People in Boston. Yeah. Where's Andy? We need Andy to come in and tell us. He might wear it.
Some people love Dunkin'. I don't get it. I'm not a big Dunkin' fan.
Are you a coffee guy?
I am a coffee guy.
Where do you go?
Usually Starbucks. I'll go to Starbucks, but then there's like little cafes I'll go to around where I live.
I just go to.
I like
McDonald's.
Pete's. You ever had Pete's?
I'm not a coffee drinker.
I like
Mary's
Pete's.
a coffee drinker.
I mean, yeah, but I just go to McDonald's. I like have no standards.
Yeah.
For
No, I need
of
coffee. Even there's a little diner where I'm staying. Like they had a wonderful cup of black coffee. It's like stuff like that. I'm not picky.
Yeah, Mary had to get coffee at the movie theater the other night, and it
was
her.
$5.30.
Was it good or no? It wasn't good.
I mean, it's
not
just
worth $5.
it was Folgers.
Yeah.
And they scammed me.
Yeah.
Because I asked for the coffee and then they say the price and I can't just walk away. I have to buy it now.
Because now you look cheap.
Now there's a line behind me. Yeah.
All right, Stephen King is being stupid on the internet again.
He's having a melty.
He's kind of like raw. Yeah, he's a mentee bee.
A mentee bee, for instance. Yeah.
Says,
Elon derangement syndrome is what this is. He said, "Dear Elon, Twitter, and so on. F your need to put your personal brand on everything." And then he tweeted, "Just because you bought it doesn't mean you own it."
He's a communist.
That's some commie bullshit.
That's some commie right there.
I'm gonna have to get into an argument with him about private property versus personal property. I'm gonna want to just go by the time I'm done.
Someone posted a cover of The Shining written by Elon Musk. Just because you wrote it doesn't mean you wrote it.
Exactly.
And someone did a post right underneath that tweet he did. I guess it's not Twitter anymore.
I still
it was like
Twitter.
You put your name, bigger than the title of the book on all your books, like your name,
Yeah.
I wonder if he does that or if that's his publisher.
It's his thing for sure, but it's like I don't even know what that means. Just because you bought it doesn't mean you own it. Like, what do you, dude?
What does that mean?
Isn't this guy a writer? He's supposed to know what words mean.
Yes.
I think when you buy something, it does in fact mean that you own it.
100%, right?
I mean, is his idea supposed to be kind of like when we talk about interpreting art? Like once you release art into the wild, you don't really have control over how it's interpreted anymore.
But he wants control over how his art is interpreted. Actually.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sad stuff. Stephen King.
There's a lot of creepy stuff
Someone
in it.
take
Do
his
not
phone
read
away.
it, kids. It's not.
It's weird. Weird stuff.
He's very creepy, man.
All right. Let's move on. So Stephen King said that. Do you want to tell us all about this Mike Posner post? I thought this was really, really fun.
It's very wholesome.
It's very wholesome.
Mike Posner posted this whole thread on X, basically talking about recovering from substance abuse, dealing with navigating fame, and also finding religion in his life, and the change that it's been since his 26th birthday, when he wrote, "I took a pill in Ibiza," or you could say Ibiza. 10 years ago.
Ibiza.
And he said, "I feel proud to look at the song lyrics and know that none of them are true anymore. I've grown into a completely new man, one that I'm proud of."
That's good.
And I just thought this was fun because he was actually starring in that documentary, No Room for Rock Stars, about Warped Tour 2010. And it was kind of random that he was on Warped Tour. Like, as a pop singer, he was there. I don't know why he fit into that milieu so well. But he said... it was like, I took a pill in Ibiza to show Avicii I was cool, and when I finally got sober, felt 10 years older, but F it, it was something to do. At 36, I love myself more than ever, no longer do shit that harms my body to try to get people to like me.
That's
I never understood the notion of doing it for that purpose.
Just to show somebody you were cool?
That never made any sense to me.
Oh,
And also,
I do.
he talked about, buying all this designer stuff and driving a sports car to keep up appearances. And
I think
that he's not
especially when
concerned
you're
with that
young,
anymore.
there's that kind of sense of like you do stuff to look cool, dude.
Now he says he donated his massive Jordan collection, drives a 4Runner, don't need to prove anything to anyone other than God. Well, that'll get you in trouble these days.
He just looks like a very happy person.
Yep.
And you
Seems
don't see
happy.
that a lot.
And he's the one, of course, who walked across the country.
He did. That was cool.
And he scaled Everest and stuff like that.
That's amazing.
He had his own kind of renaissance and stuff. And he was doing a lot of like producing, like he was doing a lot of college shows back then before he hit it really, really big. And I always liked his music. I had no problem with him even back then. He didn't actually appear to me to be somebody who was like where his music felt like a product of what Hollywood wants you to put out there, right?
Yeah.
Like a song like Please Don't Go doesn't exactly scream like Hollywood evil.
I like his other song, Drug Dealer Girl.
There you go.
I thought that was a bop.
Even Took a Pill in Ibiza, he's reflecting on how empty it all is.
Yeah.
I think it's honest.
Problem is a lot of people, like, if you don't actually like examine it further, like they're not gonna
They just
look
think,
past
right,
the
yeah.
lyrics,
Yeah,
the
that's
initial
true.
name of the song.
Yeah.
Right, like that. But that's not a good thing either. Like you shouldn't discourage people from making music with a catchy title if it does examine a topic further, because it's not your fault that other people can't take the time to actually look deeper into what you mean by something.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So good for him, and continue to do that. We need more people to make stuff like that. Though I do remember him having a lyric in like an old video he said where he talked about donating, like in one of his songs, talking about donating like food to money to charity and saying "F it, God told me to," and that was back in like 2010. So he was clearly already at least.
He had a good head on his shoulders.
That's cool.
He was
from the
clearly already
beginning.
at least like contemplating religion at that time.
Yeah.
All right. And now, this is a great discussion about whether you are responsible for your fan base. You're not. Unless
You
you're
think?
unless you're actually telling them to go do something or whipping people up into a frenzy, I don't believe Taylor Swift is responsible for unhinged fans going and acting out.
Well, I'm thinking about this in a different way since Candace Owens did this episode talking about Taylor Swift and the way that she mobilized her fan base to attack Scooter Braun after he purchased Big Machine and purchased her discography in
But
the
that's by
process.
lying.
And I mean, it was like half truths.
Okay.
So she posted this thing on Tumblr basically saying, she's the victim. Scooter Braun is this evil villain. And he had to get security because people were threatening his family. And
Nothing more ruthless than teenage girls.
is she responsible for that? In a certain sense, she was, because she lied about what happened.
Yes. Okay. So the dishonesty about not saying I knew about this and I was given the opportunity to purchase and just chose not to, which is what you're saying happened. Like she knew, her dad even was part of this purchase. Like that's so intellectually dishonest that I would say that's a little bit different. But this is what's happening, guys, is this person basically made a tweet about Kanye and Taylor, and now they're like wishing just the most unhinged stuff. Here, I'll put some of it on screen. I dared like even want to read like the
well,
stuff they're
basically
saying.
this woman, Michaela, tweeted Kanye made your bitch famous, which is obviously the reference to the song Famous. And Taylor claims that she was lied to about what was going to be in that song, when you can see on this, quote, illegally recorded phone call that he told her exactly what he was going to say in the song. The only part he left out is that he was going to call her a bitch.
Yeah.
Or that bitch. So she was very offended by that and felt very hurt. And now Swifties are targeting this woman, making rape threats and telling her to have a miscarriage. She posted all the screenshots. This person DM'd her over and over, get R-worded by a pedophile. Get R-worded by a pedophile. Get gang raped. Don't piss me off. You... Wait, this is crazy.
Jeez.
You ugly ass deformed dog MFer. I can't even say most of this.
No, you literally can't. It kind of reminds me the other day when Beyonce, we were talking about Beyonce
Unhinged.
was going to be on a country radio station, and after the country radio station's like, oh, we're going to play her, they're like, don't you dare do that again.
Yeah.
Like they're threatening a radio station.
Calling them racist. And she also said, this person in the DM, I hope your baby dies in childbirth.
My
Just
gosh.
like, how unhinged do you have to be this slavishly devoted to a celebrity that you're making death threats and other threats at someone because they're a Kanye fan?
The idea that you are that connected to like a pop culture figure or a musician is bonkers. Like there's just like, you have to have such little meaning in your life to go to. They were also saying, they were like, there was these things going around where Beyonce fans were saying, let's work together to get Kanye off the #1 spot on Spotify. So it's like, why? Like why? Like Beyonce doesn't care if you. I mean, I guess she does, but it's like she's never gonna know you. She's never gonna thank you for your service. Like, what connects you to that person so much? Like, you used to have to know someone personally to feel that level of a connection with a person.
Another Taylor stan said, "Fearless has sold more albums than the whole Kanye discography before the VMAs happened. Your ugly newborn daughter is gonna be R-worded when she's older. Worry about that, you ugly bitch."
That's evil.
Can you imagine typing that out on a screen?
It's evil.
I mean, I understand a lot of these people are children, but some of them are adults.
Girls too.
Some of them are actually adults, and they should know better.
Yeah.
Another one emailed her, "You're gonna have a miscarriage. Don't speak on Taylor again, ho."
Again, like who says
They're
that?
all
a person
saying
they've
this.
never known before.
It's insane, and I think that Taylor maybe isn't personally responsible, but she's playing into it. It's not like she really cares.
This is kind of what I used to try to say to Phil when I would say that. I was like, she at least a little bit, you know, she encourages it, but he said that that's not true, and I can't point you to any specific example where she says, hey, go forth and attack this person.
Yeah.
And without that, like, it's a subtle. Right? Like, it's a subtle means of pushing your audience in a certain direction. Certainly lying is that. But 100%. You can't say that she's... I don't know if you can say she's mobilizing her audience. I would say the cult of personality around her lends itself to people who easily mobilize themselves because they've tricked themselves into thinking they understand what her wishes are.
Yeah.
I think she's a religion for some of these people.
Yes,
right.
she is.
And you've insulted their deity.
Right.
So they have to lash out at you. Also, I wanted to mention she just donated $100,000 to the GoFundMe for the victim who died in the Chiefs parade shooting the other day. That was for, I guess, her funeral and her family to receive. So that's a good thing. I think she took a good opportunity to not make it a gun control issue.
Well, yeah, because that I mean, she would have if the narrative had stuck, but it didn't.
Yeah.
They can't do that with with the current narrative, given that it wasn't. What was the video? The guy goes, these MAGA people. That's who must have shot up the.
No, yeah, this insane guy posted a TikTok. Do you have it?
Yeah, I do. I have it.
We need to play this because I cannot believe someone like this actually exists.
Yeah, that story went away pretty quick.
I did have it here. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. I had it just pulled up.
He was wearing a hat that says "Made you look. Black Lives Matter." I think Libs of TikTok posted this.
Here we go.
So a fucking mass shooting literally just happened at the Chiefs Super Bowl victory parade. Thank you, fucking Fox News. I wonder which fucking side of people got their whole base whipped up into a frenzy because they were mad about Taylor Swift. I have no idea who these people were that shot this thing up, but I can take a fucking wild guess.
Sounds like Camille
This is such
Nanjiani.
fucking bullshit. This is why we need to vote these fucking MAGA people out of our fucking country. This is bullshit. It shows that there's at least one dead, 8 to 10 people shot. And this is not over football. This was over politics. I fucking guarantee it.
You were wrong.
Totally wrong.
Sorry, buddy.
Good luck deporting 70 million Trump supporters.
I mean, this is also why I would never want to be the person who has to stake like their whole reputation on one claim right off the bat, only to find out less than 10 hours
He
later.
deleted his account.
Yeah.
Did he really?
Yeah, I tried to look for it.
Wow.
And it's
should.
good. It's a good
He
thing
should,
because he spoke out of turn and didn't know what the hell he was talking about.
100%.
It was gang violence, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It had nothing to do with politics. It had nothing to do with Taylor Swift or even the Chiefs.
I would like to know what your guys' take is for something like this on celebrities attaching their names to donations. A lot of people think that you should donate anonymously, and you shouldn't attach your name to things like this. What do you think about that?
I mean, if she's used a pseudonym for songwriting before, why can't she use a pseudonym for charitable donations?
Yeah.
But she can't because she wants to look virtuous.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hate on her for attaching her name to it, but I do understand the argument that some people believe it's more impactful if you do your charity work,
Yep.
you know, without your name attached to it. But at the same time, she's a business. It's good for her. It's good for her brand.
Yep.
I can't hate her for that. If anything, this is a great argument for the non-government approach to fixing problems, which is that your community should come together to fix problems and not necessarily have it done structured through government intervention. So,
also the Swifties started, you know, eating their own because one of them broke ranks. There was a tweet that said, "What's a Taylor opinion that will get you canceled?" And one of her Stan accounts said, "Taylor not speaking out on issues," I presume she means political issues, "makes sense, and I don't blame her for it." And immediately they freaked out on her. They replied, "Remove Free Palestine from your bio because you clearly don't care and you're pretentious AF." Another one said, "This is because you're white just like her, and the second something gets uncomfortable, you can snuggle up in your privilege and go to sleep." The chick replied and said, "I'm not white. Hope that helps." Another one said, "Taylor slapped on the activist label to sell an album to queers and trash talk Trump and literally hasn't touched another real issue since. Don't call yourself an activist while simultaneously doing nothing."
Actually, yes, but I just think nobody should be an activist ever.
Another said, "When you accumulate so much wealth by doing an artistic job and have such reach and influence, it's your duty to speak up."
No, it is not.
Living in a fairy tale while the world is burning and people are dying left and right, elites can't have the privilege of both thriving and ignoring it.
I think it's cringe to call yourself an activist.
Yes,
like,
it
just
is.
do what you're going to do. Like, don't use, you know.
Well, to be fair, she never really explicitly said, "I'm an activist," but she was making political statements. She did political endorsements multiple times. So we get the message.
I also do believe it is your right to take in all your money as the world burns. As an individual, it is your right to not have to do anything while the world burns around you. I don't actually believe that you should be forced to fix anything if you don't want to.
It's freedom.
That's what freedom is, right? It's also your right to fix your own problems if you're having issues in your life. That's all I'm saying. But speaking of somebody who could probably fix a problem or two in her life, Rachel Dolezal was fired.
Yeah.
I remember Rachel Dolezal.
Yes, I feel like Harambe is going to show up any minute now. It feels like the same time frame.
It's been a while.
Justice was served because people found out that she, you know, got work somehow.
So she was working as a teacher.
Yeah, she became a teacher in Arizona and at the same time was running an OnlyFans account.
Yeah,
Posting porn of herself.
I don't know who's signing up for Rachel Dolezal porn.
I don't know.
I mean, if you're like she's like a niche, she's a niche like micro celebrity of some kind, and that gives her the platform. So I bet she was making some good money on there, but now she doesn't have a salary, and she should not be around children, obviously.
Yes.
Still hasn't even admitted that she's white, which is crazy.
That's funny.
She's still living the lie.
I mean, it's kind of impressive.
She was really ahead of her time.
I like the idea that she like the media doesn't like run cover. They ask her the question in every interview, and she just
take it to the grave.
Waits for you to like until the silence gets so unbearable that you just move on. She just does like her programming just shuts down and waits for you to change the subject. But yeah, you know, like I don't know who's paying for this, but apparently there are people out there that are down.
I'm still of the opinion that no one with an OnlyFans account should be teaching children or have a job that requires them to be around children. So good on the parents for lobbying for her to get fired.
It's not her.
It wouldn't be the first time, but I mean, this is like even worse than most cases.
Yeah, it's an adult thing, so
Rachel Dolezal, for other reasons, shouldn't be teaching children anyway because she's mentally deranged.
The greatest part is like they find out she's teaching like African American studies. Okay. Now you're gonna have to talk about the cruise.
Okay, I want to talk about emo nostalgia.
Yeah.
And where this is at, because people are paying thousands of dollars to attend the Emo's Not Dead cruise, which is starting in 10 days. And on this cruise, you get to see a bunch of, unfortunately, washed up emo bands.
Oh.
Yeah, they have a set list published. A lot of bands here: Mayday Parade, Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, The Devil Wears Prada, Under Oath, Armor for Sleep,
Mayday Parade. I did it.
Yeah.
I did a tour with them back in the day.
They have Bless the Fall, Yellow Card. They could have done better with the lineup, but it's kind of crazy that something like this even exists and that the adults who are willing to pay for it
You know
exist.
who it is? It's just Carter. Carter just buys all the tickets.
He's
himself.
going on the cruise. Well, it starts in Miami. He could make it there in time. For
Carter
sure.
just quits to go on the cruise. You see that story a couple weeks ago of like this couple that bought back-to-back, like 58 back-to-back cruises because it was cheaper than
I saw
buying a
that.
retirement.
I saw that.
retirement home.
Yeah.
You could just
Smart.
like we could all just buy like back-to-back emo cruises forever.
That's smart.
So what do you think of the marketability of emo nostalgia?
I think it's coming to an end. I think any style of music gets real popular, or comes back in real popular for a little while, and then then it becomes cringe, and something else kind of comes in, just like grunge or 80s hair metal, it can be popular for a long time, and some of those legacy bands still do really well, obviously, but eventually, something else comes in and takes its place, or it gets replaced by something because people move on. That's just. I was told when I first got in the industry, an A&R rep was like, it's 10-year cycles. I think it's faster now because of the internet and because of TikTok and everything else. So I think it's real quick. Stuff becomes super popular and then it dies real quick, and something else comes around. But stuff comes back. I'm sure emo will have another resurgence. Later down the line,
with
but
Gen Alpha.
We're in the middle
maybe.
of the Creedessance right now.
Creed's
has got
right.
a movie. Creed has got a documentary coming out
Creed's
that's going
coming back.
to theaters.
Yeah.
And they're on tour again, as we speak,
Yeah.
right?
With Three Doors Down, the lead singer, I follow him on Instagram. He's a cool guy.
Of Three Doors Down?
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw this meme the other day. It says like me talking to my like when the aliens come to invade. Alien gets done crying. Says, anyways. So that was Arms Wide Open by Creed. I love the idea that we've been pushing the aliens away for like 100 years, but finally Creed is what gets them to finally make contact.
That's a good song.
Yep.
It's a dang good song.
And like everybody's making on the Super Bowl, everybody was posting the old Thanksgiving halftime show.
Yes, I remember.
This is the real halftime show. It was like, show me the halftime show, and it was like Shakira and who was it? Shakira and the other, like 2 years ago
In 2020 was Jennifer Lopez.
It was like Shakira and Jennifer Lopez. Then it's Usher. It says, no, show me the real Super Bowl. And it says, no, show me the and then it's the Creed one. It says, perfect.
That's funny.
There's a $20 one here from Jacob Edler. It says, cheer up, Brett. Spring is just around the corner. Happy Friday, Mary. How's Lent? Hi, Mitchell's brother. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Going
Appreciate
okay.
that.
Hasn't been that long yet. So
I saw another one that said, I want to do a meme that says, I want to do reverse Lent. So if somebody can find me a new Vice to pick up for 40 days, just let me know.
Well, it's Mark Wahlberg's 40-day challenge, right? Are we sticking with that?
I like that name.
Term?
I like that name.
I like it better than
Hallow
that.
App's got to be making real money if they can afford a Super Bowl ad. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing gangbusters.
And I did see, so I saw a bunch of like lefty Twitter arguing about the ashes on the forehead. They're like, look at it. It's like a religion. So
What were they saying?
they were talking about, they were calling it cult-like to have the ashes on your forehead.
Oh, that's
and
funny.
then like somebody who's like, look,
Okay.
I'm not super religious, but like you're kind of nuts.
You know what else is cult-like? Wearing a Che Guevara shirt.
Yes.
That's
Or even
cult-like.
tattoos, like face tattoos and stuff. I mean, original tattoos were put on you because of religious purposes and stuff like that. So
You could, put that label on pretty much anything
100%.
these days. But it is crazy that emo night came about only like 10 years after emo was in its peak. Like that was around 2018 when emo resurgence started, right?
I guess so.
2018-ish. Have you ever been to emo night?
But do you think 2008 was like a big time for emo?
It was like more so like scene.
That's what I'm
pop-
saying. Right. That's what I think.
but,
I
yeah.
think emo.
The aesthetic was still around for sure
Yeah.
in the late 2000s.
Yeah.
I would say earlier for the there it is.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think of like emo as more like 2004.
It evolved into something different.
It was when I was coming we specifically did not want to be that. Right. Metro Station did not want to be that.
What you wanted to be seen as
Scene, I think, was kind of, we were not into the emo thing. You know what I mean?
What band would you have liked to add to this lineup to make it better?
Well, they couldn't get a lot of people like Fall Out Boy, right?
No,
they couldn't manage to get
cost
like
so much money.
Yeah.
My Chemical Romance, that type of thing.
Fall Out Boy evolved into something far more mainstream way too quickly. Oddly enough, and they had like a long hiatus too. A fairly long hiatus, right? Like 3 or 4 years. Like those were prime earning years that they took off in that time period.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Then they were like heavily played on the radio after that. So.
I always thought that was like funny when they did like the Victoria's Secret fashion show. I was like, that doesn't fit.
When was that?
2013 with Taylor Swift.
That's so funny.
I was like, did they get like a pity call? Like, did they call him by accident? They're like, oh crap, we gotta hire him now.
No, they were like,
no, they were big at that time.
They were big on the radio, especially.
All right, what would you like to see? Cringe or cute of the day?
What do you say? You decide.
Cringe.
Cringe first?
All
right, we'll do cringe first. We saw that one. Let's watch this one that Mary found, and this one is cringe. Actually, first I want to show you guys this. I just want you to see what they've done to you. If you loved the original X-Men, this is what you used to get from Rogue. This is Rogue now.
Like now.
Never forget what they took from you.
That's from a recent...
Yes, that's from the new X-Men 97 animated series. The thickness is gone.
Damn.
Sorry, guys. It's a bummer. But let's go ahead and watch this video that Mary sent me.
What's a piece of trauma that you have that's funny? It has to actually be funny. I'll go first. My dad abandoned my family when I was 5 years old. That is a wife and 4 kids. He abandoned us and then pursued
a lot of work to just
amateur breakdancing. And he got really good. He like blew up. Like he became like a D-list celebrity status, like viral breakdancer. He became like the oldest actively competing breakdancer in the world. Then he got on Good Morning America and talk shows, and Washington Post wrote about him, and he went super viral, and he did all these interviews, and he danced with Paula Abdul. And here, I'll show you.
To see, take a look at this 60-year-old breakdancer. Yes, 60 years old.
He never had to pick the kids up, so his back's still working.
That's Ben Hart. He's competing at a breakdancing competition in Philadelphia, and he may not have won, but I tell you what, he is winning over a lot of people on the internet. He really is. He's winning over a lot of people on the internet.
This guy wouldn't
the definition
pay my
of a
medical
midlife
bill.
crisis.
The worst part, damn it, he's good. He should not be able to move his body like that. It's like impossible. It's beautiful. Hey, Dad. There was no sort of custody or anything. Like he just like left 4 kids.
I kind of appreciate her like
some of my medical bills growing up, but he did give me this breakdancing merchandise. So that's when he always had Benihana is his b-boy name because his name is Ben Hart. You know, I'll get texts like this, "Happy birthday?" ? And then like links to his breakdancing videos. So if you have funny trauma, like actual funny haha trauma, I need to hear it. Thank you.
Anyone want to share their funny trauma? I don't think I have any funny trauma to share.
I don't know if I have. I could give you funny trauma. I'd have to think about it.
But if you're gonna trauma dump, at least make it funny.
Yeah, like I would. I'd have to think about it for a while.
Poor girl.
Right, but I do appreciate her like laughing it off. I guess anything for content. Anything for content. All right, let's go ahead and look at cute of the day to cleanse the palate. This is from Cookie. He says, "Out of the post, rain, sun. Out in the post, rain, sun."
Cute.
It's a very cute cat.
Not really a cat person.
Dog person? How about this guy?
I like dogs.
Oh,
Devin says, "Here you go, Lily. Not my pet."
I do love Rottweilers. Rottweilers are great.
so cute.
I'm just kidding. I like cats and dogs. They're fine.
It's a cute one.
Yeah.
There's nothing going on behind those eyes.
Let's look at one more. This one is from Laura. Says, "Meet Buck. He's my sister's 3-year-old Dalmatian, but I have to include a pic when he was a puppy. He brings so much joy to our lives and many funny moments, as you will see in the clip I added."
Aw, that's cute.
No.
You don't see Dalmatians these days.
Let's see the clip.
He's transfixed.
He is. Look baseball. He doesn't look baseball. Oh.
Cute.
I can't even sit that still when I'm watching TV. All right. What would you guys like to see? Would you like to see? We already did that part.
We did Cringe Cute of the day.
Ready to start? I'm getting lost up here. Let's go ahead and talk about you. Let's talk about your career.
Okay.
How about that?
Yeah.
I'm obviously intimately familiar with Metro Station lore, but for all of the uninitiated in the audience, can you please explain the origins of Metro Station? How did this start?
Me and Trace met on the set of Hannah Montana when we were 16. Our both of our siblings were on the show, and we had both just moved to LA. I had been coming back and forth for a long time, since I was like 12 or something like that. But we had just both moved to LA at like 15, 16.
Was it because of your brother's job?
Yeah,
that you
that's when we
there?
finally got a home. Out in LA.
What did you think of LA when you arrived?
I thought it was magic.
You came from Texas.
I thought it was magic. Yeah. I thought it was super magical. Now I see it more as like a Las Vegas. It's a city built by hundreds of thousands of people losing every single thing they have. For every star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, it's like just piles of lost dreams just everywhere. Yeah. That's what that city's built on.
Yeah, so I guess you seem a little more jaded now.
I don't know, Jade. It's the reality. It's like Vegas too. It's like they don't build those giant skyscrapers, giant buildings and all the lights and everything, and having all the Avicii, or not Avicii obviously anymore, but all the DJs come through. If people aren't losing a bunch of money. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
So you guys formed Metro Station together, although that's disputed as well. Who really started it? And you started posting on MySpace, and that was where you put music at the time.
That's right.
It was like the hybrid of all the social media that exists now.
It was the best.
You streamed music, posted pictures, you posted what I guess would be the equivalent of tweets. And then TikTok kind of came along later on, and that was where music went to get discovered.
I think it was a whole psyop. They bought
TikTok.
Tom out, and then all the things that were MySpace branched off into like Spotify and Twitter and Instagram. It's like used to all be in one.
Yeah, I still think that our societal addiction to like dopamine hits comes from when you used to get all your notifications, like new blog post comments, new friend requests. You get home, because remember, you didn't have it on your phone at that time, so you'd have to wait till you got home from work or from school to log in, and then you log. Just think about that. You had to log in every day. You didn't just get logged in automatically. And you get all the new comments, and you're like, ooh, I got all this new stuff. People want to talk to me.
It was the best.
That was a
great time.
So you guys were blowing up on MySpace.
Yeah, we got to like number 3 on the unsigned artist charts. That's what, again, another cool thing. They had like an unsigned artist chart. It was just super cool. Yeah.
So is that how you were discovered by your record label?
That's when we took a meeting with Capitol. They're like, oh, come hang out, and they brought us up to the roof of Capitol Records, and we're like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And then it was Columbia actually who gave us a deal on their indie label Red Ink. But then the moment we sold enough records, they were like, you're actually on Columbia, did you know? It's like, no. But they all did that. All the major labels, they had their indie label. It's like, we're not going to call you major. When that was like cool, it was like, oh, it's an indie label called Red Ink. It's like, oh, that's totally organic. It's like, no.
Who owns that?
Right, yeah.
What was the direction they were trying to take it in?
I guess kind of.
Did you feel like there was some pressure to become more mainstream? Or
there was, but again, we were always super into. I mean, I've always just been super into great pop records. And I love pop music. I'm a big pop junkie. Like I was saying earlier to you guys before we started the show, like I grew up on Now CDs, so just hits. I loved those. I was never a big record guy, like sitting through a whole record, but I love Now because it was all the top songs.
You said that you thought they were trying to make you guys more emo.
They were I mean, to an extent, I think they were, because we were kind of at a weird time where we had a lot of electronic elements in our music, and the people we were around kind of wanted to put us more in that, like you were saying earlier, kind of a Warped Tour-esque kind of a vibe. But it was actually Rick Rubin who came in and was like, make them sound like their original demos, because all of our original demos on like MySpace and stuff sounded very electronic.
Okay. So. And how strong was the sentiment that you guys were industry plants? I mean, maybe that term wasn't what people used at the time, but because of your ties and Trace Cyrus's ties to his father and Miley, his sister, and you being related to Mitchell. Was that a sentiment that you saw going around?
I think some people...
You were like, you know, kind of created by a label?
I think some people think that, and, you know, I think that's fine. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you can't waste your time worrying about it.
But you can find all of our like tour history, you know, when we got in a van, we toured. It's just the songs were really good. I mean, I think that's why people are still listening to them. They're not listening to them because, oh, I'm going to listen to this because, you know, this person's related to this person. Nobody does that.
You did the van life and you put the work in. You put the time in.
I think so. I just think this, I mean, I think a lot of people were, you know, it takes longer, but I just think we had really good songs. Shake It still does really, really well. I still pay all my bills because that one song, it's like,
so
does
you
really well.
Were you like in high school at this time, or did you leave school?
It was like the day after I turned 18, they were able to sign us all because I was the last one to turn 18.
Okay, and that was on purpose.
But all my friends were, when the record came out, all my friends were starting to think about college, you know, and then they were seeing me on MTV. You know, it was pretty cool because I was not a popular kid in school at all. I was not popular.
What were the circles that you ran in?
Christian. I grew up. I learned how to play in a large evangelical Texas megachurch called Lake Point in Rockwall, Texas, where Alex Jones is from, by the way. I don't know if anyone knows that. Alex Jones, Rockwall. That's where me and my brothers are from. And Lake Point Church, fantastic church. I still comment on their Instagram all the time. That's where I learned how to play, doing the youth group. It was like a couple hundred kids every Wednesday night, you know. It'd be like, you know, so I learned when I was like 12, I guess. I started doing that.
Okay, and you guys were touring with bands like The Ready Set.
Never The Ready Set, only later.
Or like
later.
Cobra Starship.
Yes. Cobra Starship, yeah.
Yeah, like those types of bands.
Yeah.
And then you had your first album and you had this big hit.
Yeah.
Shake It.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of you have heard it. If you haven't, you should.
Yeah.
Please look it up after the show is over. If you haven't, it's a masterpiece. And it went platinum. And is this when you kind of felt like you were coming into your own? Did you expect it to have such a reaction?
I knew Shake It was good. I remember writing it in Rockwall. I wrote it in Rockwall, and I thought it was good. I even though if you go to my Instagram, I have the original GarageBand demo of the song.
That's awesome.
You can see where I was creating it on GarageBand. And I had this idea of a girl's voice singing "Shake Shake," you know, doing the Shake It part, so you can hear it in the GarageBand, in GarageBand, and I still have that. But I thought it was good.
Okay, and you started to, you know, make money for yourself.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it blew up your ego?
Yeah.
Like I saw that sentiment started changing because the way that you guys appeared in interviews also changed. Like, you know, you're leaning back in your seat. You got the sunglasses on indoors. You're seeming kind of aloof.
That's how Mary is before the show.
Yeah,
Mary just,
I can put him back on if y'all want.
Yeah, exactly. So you guys started to come off a little bit different. You started acting different.
It's hard, Mary.
What was
when
that
you're 18, you're given a bunch of money. Everyone likes you. It's like it's hard to not try to jump into that role, you know. But then,
especially because, as you said, you weren't cool.
I wasn't
growing up,
no,
and now you're this cool guy.
Yep. And everyone who didn't want to hang out with me when I wasn't cool and in high school wanted to hang out with me.
Classic.
You know? Yeah.
Very typical story.
Yeah. It felt like that movie, The New Guy.
What were your new friends like? What were your new friends like?
Didn't care about. They don't care about you at all. I mean, some of them do, but it's like, you know, the people that come around you when everything's going good, you know, they're also quick to leave you when everything goes bad, you know.
And then you guys went on tour with Miley Cyrus in 2009, which was a big deal because she was kind of breaking away from the Hannah Montana kid-friendly role, and like Party in the USA was huge. So you were opening for her for that year in 2009.
It's funny. I remember someone saying, I don't know if this is 100% true, but I remember someone saying that Hot Topic started removing our merchandise from Hot Topic because we did that tour.
Really?
I don't know if that's true, but I heard that through the grapevine somewhere.
So you were too mainstream for Hot Topic.
I think her at the time, you know, going on tour with her at that time was probably not. I don't know. We were already big, you know. I mean, big to a certain extent. We already had a hit song, you know.
So how did it happen that 2 members left the band in the same year?
Egos, drugs, money, it's all the normal kind of stuff, you know. Unfortunately, it got to a point where everyone, you know, left the band or were forced out of the band except for me, and I took over Metro Station and, you know, put out some singles and an EP on my own, and then eventually me and Trace got back together and worked it out a little bit. And
well, let's not fast forward too quickly.
I was trying to do quick on her.
What really went down in 2010 with the OG breakup? Because it turned into a duo once the other 2 members left.
Right.
How did that happen?
Well, Anthony never officially left. I think that's where people get confused. Is Blake left, he wanted to go do his own thing, and Anthony was still in, and then me and Trace kind of had different opinions.
Well, I just remember Trace tweeting, and then there were 2.
Yeah.
So that would mean you and him.
Well, and there's other stuff you can find where, you know, there's articles where, you know, he was saying stuff like he was calling the music weak. He was calling Metro Stations music weak. If you go online, you can find some people have pointed that out. You know, so there were a lot of problems, and there were a lot of issues where people didn't feel respected. So some people had to leave.
Did it feel like you were friends, or were you more so
not at that time.
coworkers?
Not at that time. We weren't friends. No.
Did you say you?
I think we're cool now.
Started out as friends, but
we started out as friends, but it soured. I think. Yeah. I think, you know, especially when you get to that point, some people get really big heads and think they can do everything on their own, and they don't need people. It creates, you have to have a team to get stuff done. And I was good at certain things that Trace wasn't good at, and Trace was good at stuff that I wasn't good at, and
like
Anthony was good. I don't know. I think it's pretty apparent by now what things we're both good at. So
well, the idea is, you know, he was much more front facing.
Sure.
He was good at having this like star power.
He's a great
and,
front man, for sure.
Bombastic personality, getting the crowd hyped up. And your vocals, in my opinion at least, were stronger than his.
I don't know how anybody could say differently.
At least you're honest about it.
I don't know.
Yeah?
I think anybody who wants to listen to our music, I mean, that's just a band. That's how things work, you know? That's just how it is.
Yeah. So I know also I'm asking you about things that you're 34 now. It's almost a half a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
That, you know, you forget how the details went down. So
there's some stuff I forget and some stuff I remember, and you know, it's not, I definitely wouldn't change anything, because I think, you know, especially when you're having those kind of issues in the band, I think I'm humbled by the situation. I think he has been humbled by the situation as well. So I think that's a good thing.
You guys buried the hatchet not even that long after, 2013,
a certain extent,
right?
To a certain extent, yeah.
To a certain extent.
To a certain extent, I think it's just one of those things. It's like, you know, it's difficult to be in a band with somebody. I mean, that's just how it is, you know.
What were the pressures of tour life?
Well, you're having to wake up every day next to the same person, and
it's almost like being married.
Basically married without, yeah, any of the other stuff that comes with marriage.
It's being married without being in love.
Yeah,
or anything cool
exactly.
like that.
That's right, 100%.
Yeah,
but you're sharing money, and you know, you're sharing everything, and yeah, it's egos, man. Egos get in the way of a lot of stuff, you know, unfortunately. I definitely.
You take some of the blame there?
I really felt like I always knew my place in the band. And I was really happy with my place in the band. Being the guy who sang the hooks, or, you know, sang stuff like Kelsey, or had the, you know, the voice of the band, and played the guitar, and was, you know, the other guy. I was totally fine being that guy. Some people just aren't happy with their role, and you have to know your role.
Okay.
You know? So maybe I had a little bit of an ego, for sure. But I really felt like I knew my place, you know?
On another note, now that we've seen so much going wrong for Disney, especially stuff that we cover on this channel, how do you feel about the fact that your brother was affiliated with this golden age of the Disney Channel when he was on Hannah Montana?
The mouse. Mr. Mouse.
The evil mouse.
I always loved Disney, but I feel like they've lost their way, in my opinion, in my humble little opinion. I feel like they've lost their way, and they should just get back to making great stories. stories are very important. They shape, for better or for worse, I think we get our morality from Disney movies and TV shows. It used to be the Bible, but now, all these young kids are getting their morality from Disney and, all this stuff. And that's why it's so important to them. That's why they put such an emphasis on it. This was in 2007.
So, I mean, by then, we had several examples of child stars that were going off the rails. Britney Spears, of course, is one of those examples. Amanda Bynes as well at Nickelodeon. And, God knows what Dan Schneider was getting up to. Like, were you worried at the time or even later on the influences that your brother was under working for that company?
No, because I feel like Mitchell was always very good at staying away from a bad situation, but I mean, I don't know. He might have some stories. I definitely saw stuff in Hollywood where it was like, kids were able to drink, at a party or so, alcohol was, minors had alcohol, stuff like normal. That. It was just kind of like, I don't know.
But not the more like dark stuff that we've heard about.
I've heard of stuff like that, but I think there's definitely some creepy stuff, especially when you're in control of kids acting and you can kind of decide what kids, I don't know.
It can't be good for a minor's psyche to have to play a character every day.
Probably not.
And to be doing press all the time. I mean, for you especially, like, what was the experience of doing press for Metro Station? Since that's not the art, and your heart is in writing the songs, singing, and playing music.
I never minded. I didn't really mind the press so much. I like doing interviews, but yeah, I definitely like making music more. But I agree with you on the Disney thing. You're having to pretend to be someone and you're a young kid every day. That must be really tough. At least with me, I'm just Mason.
Well, you were in Arrested Development.
Yes, I did. I brought.
You had an iconic cameo. In
a one-liner. Somebody get her a cupcake.
And there your acting career ended. Then it was curtains.
Maybe I should start that back up. I should get back into acting.
It's nice that you were in this industry before there was so much political pressure. I think that might have been a blessing in disguise.
I feel like there always has been, though. There's kind of, there was a deep hatred of George Bush, and then, there was Obama got in there, was like, oh, we got to love Obama. And then, with Trump, it's like, we got to hate Trump. So there's always kind of been this hatred of Republicans in the industry. They really do. They hate normal people that just want to play with their kids and go home to their wives.
It definitely reached a fever pitch in the Trump era.
100%.
You didn't have to.
But they hated Reagan. They hated.
I mean, there was no one telling you, like, you have a platform, so you better use it to endorse this political candidate or talk about this political issue that matters to me, or else you're a bad person.
They would have had a problem, though, with me wearing like a pro-Bush or something shirt, where at the same time, they're totally fine if you wear Che Guevara or,
It definitely wasn't.
It's totally fine. It's totally all good.
It wasn't Bush derangement syndrome.
No, it wasn't. Not to the same extent. I agree.
Yeah. So I feel like that might be a blessing in disguise, but things used to be so much more lighthearted and silly. And something silly that I wanted to reminisce on is the 2015 Alternative Press Music Awards.
Oh, fantastic.
Where you were with Trace Cyrus presenting an award, and you appeared on stage together, and he made a statement against another band that was in attendance, All Time Low.
Yeah.
Because they had been talking some shit. They had been talking smack about Metro Station for years.
You can find the videos of it. They have,
the beef was real.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to watch this video and get your reaction and hear what was going on in your brain. Just wanted to pick your brain about it. Here is the notorious clip. Trace just not wearing a shirt.
He does that.
Before we say anything, I don't know why All Time Low always has to talk shit on Metro Station. We've been nothing but nice to those guys. And it's so disrespectful when you go on tour with bands and they treat you disrespectful. It's ridiculous. But we're not up here for that reason. I just had to get it off my chest.
Off my bare chest, because I'm not wearing a shirt. So you were standing there. Did you know that he was about to do that? Did you know he was about to make a statement?
I had no idea.
Like, what was going through your head? Because you just people.
I wish he didn't. I mean,
they compared it to the scene of like Mike Myers standing next to Kanye West when he said that George Bush doesn't care about black people, and you're just kind of like, well, this is happening.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm all about. There's better ways of handling it, I think, than going out in front of a audience like that and saying that. But he did what he did, and I did not know it was coming, so I was obviously shocked.
And there was a confrontation backstage, reportedly.
It was never violent or anything, but there was definitely a lot of name calling, I guess, if you want to call that a confrontation.
Do you think he had a valid bone to pick with All Time Low? Did he have a reason to call them out?
I mean, I guess. I just never really cared that much. I think that they're, especially some of the stuff they do, they're very strange. And Jack from All Time Low used to have like a trailer filled with girls' bras and stuff, which was very odd.
A whole trailer.
You can look it up. So they do a lot of weird things that, just not really. And people are gonna talk crap on you and stuff, and so you're just gonna have to. My mentality is just to ignore, but that's just
There's
me.
a lot of weird stuff going on at Warped Tour.
Yes.
It's not a surprise that there's been a reckoning for a lot of these Warped Tour bands, and
there's a lot of bands who've done
after the Me Too movement,
Yeah.
things like that. A trailer full of bras is tame in comparison to some of the stuff I've heard.
Yeah.
So, what was your experience on Warped Tour?
We didn't do it till 2015. So after we had,
was that the last year?
I think there was one more
next to the last year for Warped Tour.
It was okay. I mean, I was never a big Warped Tour guy, so but it was cool.
But it seemed like your affiliation with the other bands that were there
they did not like us.
You were low hanging fruit to easily
like
pick
us.
on.
Yeah,
and it was just like you were an easy target.
Yeah, we were persona non grata, basically. Yeah.
And then later on, for several years now, you've been a little bit more politically outspoken. And I think you come off as a more intellectually curious person than a lot of artists. Your pinned tweet says, the idea that you can't be friends with someone unless they agree with you politically is weird, ... You've been
weird.
Doing like events with Turning Point USA.
Since 2017, I've done, I love them. They're fantastic. I've done a bunch, gone to play at their events and stuff like that.
Have you gone through a kind of a political evolution?
I feel like I've always just kind of, I grew up in Texas, so I was definitely raised around a lot of Republicans. I have a chain-smoking Italian grandma who's been warning me about communism since I was a little kid. It's not because she came from a communist country. It's because she grew up having to hide underneath her desk when she was little. So that, I read chapter 6 of Andrew Breitbart's Righteous Indignation. And he talks about like the Frankfurt School and how some of the guys came to Santa Monica, and that's where I grew. That's where I live, and I got into Jordan Peterson. So I don't know. It was definitely a trajectory of like me getting involved with all this kind of stuff.
Photo of you holding Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life, sitting on a rock, looking very
Santa
ponderous.
Monica.
Yeah.
I've been into Jordan Peterson from the very. I was like, I'm sure of it. I was one of the first musicians to start retweeting him and stuff. I know it because it was right after he had this whole. Protest when he was teaching the college for Bill C-16 saying he wouldn't use the pronouns. And I remember retweeting him and talking about him. And if anyone wants to get really into Peterson, all of his newer stuff, the self-help stuff, it's cool, it's great. But watch The Metaphysics of Pepe, one of his original videos. It is so fascinating. Him and Jonathan Peugeot, who I love to death, who I've talked with before. They're just, all the deep, original Jordan Peterson stuff is super, super cool compared to his newer stuff, in my opinion.
I'll have to look at The Metaphysics of Pepe after
It's
this.
Fantastic.
It sounds fantastic.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, you just seem like such a normal person.
Thank you.
Which is the shocking part.
Thank you so much.
Like normality isn't something you see often from people who have been in the like artistic or creative fields.
Yeah.
It seems like it can turn you crazy really quick, especially because you're not around the most well-meaning people most of the time, and it can drive you crazy. So how did you remain resilient? I just don't understand why you're so normal.
I don't know. I don't feel that normal.
How'd you knock yourself down a peg after you had a blown up ego?
Realizing, I mean, I've had
family have a lot to do with it?
Family for sure, but I don't know. First of all, I remember I got really into like when I was younger, I was really into like the watching Christopher Hitchens videos. So all those, the atheism, the 4 horsemen of the atheist movement. Do you know anything about that?
Were you like into new atheism?
I was interested in watching those videos of like, that kind of stuff and like Christopher Hitchens, and then I got
turned into like the intellectual dark web
basically
movement,
because I got super depressed off that stuff, and in comes like Peterson and all that stuff, and that really has helped me, and helped I think a lot of young men and girls too, and women. So I definitely credit a lot to that.
A lot of non-binaries as well.
But also I think how I was raised and having a strong. I was raised very religious, so that definitely, I fell away from my faith for a little while, but getting back into that and has really helped me a lot. So
okay, last question:
Yeah.
Do you plan to sue Taylor Swift for copyright infringement over "Shake It Off," ripping off "Shake It"?
No, I probably wouldn't win anyway, but
It's worth trying.
But anyone watch that video, watch our video, listen to the songs, and tell me it's not close.
You can't deny
it's pretty dang
similarities.
Close. Pretty dang close.
Yeah, it's suspicious for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, we've missed some super chats. Pat the Plumber said 3:00 is the official start of my first vacation in 3.5 years. 2 days of relaxing, then off to Florida for a few days, then an East Coast road trip. But I'm starting it off the right way with PCC. Let's go.
Congratulations.
Several question marks. I see all sent a big super chat. Mary, you are known to not read messages that may be obscene or blasphemous, etc. by saying I'm not going to read that. Would you consider dedicating an episode once a month behind a paywall where you answer the questions you wouldn't read? Well, most of the time, the super chats that I don't read aren't questions. They're just vulgar. I mean, there's not much to answer.
That would say your morality is for sale.
I would just look I would just look vaguely disinterested if I did that, but
I also want to thank you for saying normality rather than normalcy.
Yeah, I know that was really special for you.
Normality needs to make a comeback.
Shane H. Wilder said happy Friday, Brett, Mary, and Mason, let's go.
Happy Friday.
Let's go.
Andrew Jacobs said Claire squared, let's go. That was a long let's go.
One more.
Corey Anderson said, I hate Fridays. No PCC tomorrow.
You can always watch old episodes.
No, don't tell them to do that.
Always,
Let's not do
Let's
that.
come back. All right. Let's go ahead and talk about Kanye.
Yeah, Kanye's new album has been targeted by censorship. That's not surprising due to his controversial nature. So Vultures was removed from Apple Music yesterday, and this happened while we were live. I didn't have time to see it. But they removed it from Apple Music because the distributor named Fuga was working to remove it from all streaming services, and they wouldn't really explain why, other than they made an agreement that they would not be distributing Vultures 1, and then they went around them through the platform's automated processes, violating their service agreement. So it got removed from Apple Music briefly, and then it was reinstated because Kanye found a new distributor with Label Engine pretty quickly.
Wow.
Yeah.
But the copyright struggles with this album have also been hampering it. They removed one of the songs from Spotify, or at least it's not playable because of the Donna Summer estate making a complaint. He's using samples without permission. But, interestingly, he did ask for permission for those snippets of Ozzy Osbourne and Donna Summer. They just said no, and he was like, I'm going to do it anyway.
We were talking before the show about the role that music labels play in getting artists, their place, right? And why we talk a lot about how a lot of people feel like the labels take too much money from the cut, and that's certainly a fair argument to make. It's a pretty common thing for people to talk about where art and commerce meets and what the split should be like, and all of these labels are known to have really, really bad deals, awful contracts, but the troubles that Kanye is going through right now highlight exactly what these labels do well, which is build out the infrastructure around the art. Right? Everything that's happened between all of the technical issues at his Vultures listening parties to trouble with distributors are all things that you pay to have the
He's
label
not
take
able to
care
book
of.
venues for touring on this album because they don't want to be associated with him, and he doesn't have a record label anymore. They dropped him, so he has to advocate for himself. But what are your thoughts on Kanye and and all of the stuff he's been saying for the past couple of years? Does he maybe deserve some pushback? I know you're a big free speech advocate,
Yes.
so it's like difficult.
You know, he's gonna say what he wants to say. I think he did come out and apologize, right, for all of this.
He released an apology, in Hebrew, but then he released the record anyway, which has a lot of references to Jews in song lyrics, and it's iffy whether or not that apology was sincere.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Should he?
He's
have
obviously
to?
very talented, and I don't. You know, it's people like his music. So.
Do you think it's reasonable to expect him to apologize?
I guess so. I mean, he did, didn't he? So I think he wanted to say something. He wanted to apologize in some aspect, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it's just difficult because, I mean, you don't really know what's on someone's conscience.
Yeah, that's true.
Usually when celebrities apologize for doing problematic things or making problematic comments, it's written by a PR agent.
Right. Well, Kanye does seem like he's a fool in the culture, and what I mean by that is like these people that are able to, we should watch our jesters, in the culture, and these people that are able to change how we view society. Kanye's definitely one of those. He's one of those characters where you don't really know which way he's going. He's super Christian, and then at the same time now all of his stuff is like very raunchy and he's a paradox,
Yeah,
but watch the fools for sure.
Getting a lot of pushback for involving North, his daughter. She's 10 years old and she has a feature on this album, and she's allowed to listen to it in full, and it obviously has a lot of raunchy sexual lyrics and profanity in it.
This is what I mean, he's kind of like...
Yeah. Kim was getting pushback recently because North posted this TikTok where she posted a screenshot of her diary. North wrote in her diary, "What are 3 things you're grateful for today? I'm grateful for the Vultures 1 album because it's insanely good. I'm also grateful for the Black Vulture because if Vultures weren't alive, this amazing album wouldn't have come out. And lastly, I'm grateful for the song Carnival," which is currently, I think, the most controversial song on the album, where he name checks Taylor Swift and he compares himself to Bill Cosby and R. Kelly and P. Diddy. All of these people have been Me Too'd. But most disturbing is that at the bottom of the page, she drew a rendition of his Vultures album cover, where, if you don't know, he's standing there next to Bianca, his new wife, who is, she's facing away from the camera and her whole ass is out, and she's wearing a loincloth.
Yeah.
And North drew that on the page.
Yeah.
Do you want to show it? I
don't have that pulled up right now.
It's fine.
I have the original, but yeah, it was. But
it's weird.
My bigger problem is that she's writing a journal in just a regular notebook. Got to get him an actual journal.
I just don't think it's right to expose your kid to that kind of language and imagery.
Yeah.
To be honest, and you're a dad. Like you get where I'm coming from with that sentiment, right?
Yeah.
Like, he has her at this listening party on stage with these rappers, and everyone's drinking and rapping these insane lyrics that are sexual in nature, and it's like 3 a.m. in the morning. It seems hypocritical because he always was pushing back on Kim's parenting, and Kim is the one who's trying to sexualize North. Kim is exposing her to all these things.
He said that a
these
bunch.
bad influences.
Right. Yeah.
And now you're not being exactly a very good influence.
No,
that's what I mean. He's a trickster figure. He's got
he's a court jester, who's the king?
Well, the king. Well, it's not even that. It's like Carl Jung. Carl Jung is. He talked about how the fool or that trickster figure is like the precursor to you know, savior, I guess, if you want to, that's
the
what Jung said.
Antichrist?
Well, it's like, and Peterson talks about this too. You have to be a fool to advance. You have to, you know, act like you don't know anything, or kind of like go against everything to advance yourself. You know, you have to come in humbly. And I think Kanye is just one of those figures where it's like, we don't know, especially the song's called Carnival. It's like, that's what we live in now. Clown world. You know, it's like, he's kind of like playing with that imagery of like, the whole culture is upside down. And he's kind of, you know, he's embodying that, it seems like.
That's a good point. But so do you think that the crazy is all an act? Or is it genuine?
I don't know. Like you were saying earlier, it's sounds like maybe it's an act, but maybe that, I don't know. It's too like, he says he's like super Christian one day, and then he's like doing this stuff, and then he says he's apologizing, but he's not, and he's like doing, you know, so I don't know.
It's about keeping us guessing.
I guess. I'm not sure, but he's
never
definitely
know his next move.
He's definitely, maybe he's trying to be so crazy to where we're like, okay, enough with the clown world and all this stuff. We need to go back to normality.
Yeah, yes, exactly. That's the way it is.
I also wanted to talk about this story about Modest Yahoo, who is having trouble getting venues right now in Santa Fe. And it's because staff at these venues are boycotting their events because they're outspokenly pro-Israel. They're a Jewish band.
Yeah.
And they're saying that they can't even cover up for this on their own dime. He posted a story on Instagram saying, the venue tonight in Santa Fe has canceled our sold-out show without our permission. We fought to prevent that from happening, but they're saying they don't have enough staff. We're sorry to everyone that had tickets, and we'll be back. But then he followed it up saying, my band and I should have played a sold-out show at Santa Fe last night, and we were excited for tonight's show at the Rialto Theater in Tucson. Instead, the staff at these venues refused to come to work, forcing cancellations. Without our permission or approval, the venue misinformed our fans that they were canceling the show due to security concerns, when the only concern was a group of staff unwilling to work my show. We've offered to supplement their staff shortages on our own dime, but to no avail. They do this because they're either anti-Semitic or have confused their empathy for the Palestinian people with hatred for someone like me who holds empathy for both Israelis and Palestinians. It's truly a sad day when dialogue with those you disagree with is abandoned for hate-mongering and silencing artistic expression.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that?
It's terrible. I think I don't know. I think it's very sad. Try doing that with any other minority. Like they wouldn't do that, you know.
We're boycotting Beyonce's
You know what I mean?
concert.
Like they wouldn't do that with any other. Yeah,
How
they
do
wouldn't
these
do that with any
people
other
keep their
people.
jobs?
Yeah, it's terrible.
The security staff is who I assume are boycotting, right?
Not necessarily security. It could be anyone, any part of that venue that's being hired at that night, right? Any employee for any part of the venue.
I saw him play in New York a couple months ago, like not that long ago. He was really good.
Yeah,
he was really good.
It's sad. It's the type of thing where I don't think this would have happened 15 years ago.
No.
Like I don't think this would have happened at whatever other time our culture has been this politically polarized. I don't see this being something that would have actually happened.
Yeah.
I'm seeing responses from all sides of the fence. They're saying if someone refuses to work with you for being Jewish, they're anti-Semitic scum. And then the next response says, F off, you coward and liar. You've said nothing about Palestine and you regurgitate Zionist propaganda, even playing a show in Israel while a few miles away the Palestinians are killed and dispossessed en masse. Long live workers' solidarity. And those workers are the ones who work at a venue in uber liberal Santa Fe. I don't know what to make of it.
That's that's 25, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years of Marxist indoctrination in your colleges coming home to roost, my friends.
Yeah, I grew up in conservative red state Texas, where they were, especially in the church I grew up in was always very pro-Israel, so I grew up around a lot of that.
Jeff Gann says Republicans canceled the Dixie Chicks. Where the F y'all been? Did venues get canceled?
When did Republicans?
Yeah, they did.
They
hated George Bush.
Yeah, they did.
They
George Bush stuff?
Yeah, they smashed George Bush.
Did they lose out on venues for doing that? Is that I don't know if that's true or not.
It's not that they lost some of it, but it's like you attacked your fan base. You know, your fan base are all Southern people who like George Bush, and when you disrespect George Bush, you're not.
Yeah, I think this
no
is
one's gonna come
different
see you
because
play. You know,
I don't know. Are the people going to see Matas Yahoo?
right?
All
People are
Zionists?
going to see him. Right. Well, yeah.
Are they? Are his fans all politically pro-Israel, or is this just an assumption that they're making?
Yeah.
That would be an assumption that they're making.
I highly doubt that any of the people who bought tickets even know what this guy thinks about these issues, right?
Yeah.
Would I be wrong in assuming that? I don't know. I'm not familiar with this guy and his.
You don't know Matas Yahoo?
I mean, I don't follow him on social media, so I don't know what posts they're mad about. Is the thing.
He makes such kumbaya music too.
That's
the funniest part about it. Is his music is very is something that should bring you together and not divide you. That's the saddest part about this.
They hated Bob Marley because he just wanted us all to get along.
That's exactly.
Just don't worry and be happy.
Yeah.
That's why they hated Bob Marley.
Yeah, that's seeing stuff like this to an artist who very clearly, like, I guess what they're saying is like he played a show for Israeli troops, which automatically makes him a political figure in their eyes.
Right.
Even if the music does not represent that. I wouldn't have called the wrestlers who went and did like tribute for the troops at WWE political figures either if they were going to perform under a certain presidential administration that was controlling the troops in Iraq or Afghanistan.
Right.
Yeah, I think even someone like Kathy Griffin, she did comedy shows for the military in Afghanistan, if I recall correctly, and that doesn't mean that she's like pro-war.
Right.
It doesn't mean anything about her political stance.
Yeah.
But it's just funny. These are the same people that say, let people enjoy things.
Yeah.
When you're literally the person who's anti-fun. You don't want people to go see their concert. You're trying to ruin everything.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. Apostle of JBL said, if standing next to a guy like Dave Bautista can be emasculating for most men, does the same logic apply with women standing next to a bombshell like Sydney Sweeney?
That's a very good question. You should ask ask Dakota Johnson. She's the one who had to stand next to her at that premiere.
What is the reverse of emasculate for women? What would that be? Defeminize?
Yeah. Also, I love his name, Apostle of JBL, so guy's clearly a wrestling fan.
The next one from Shane H. Wilder. Have you tried hitting the money gun, Brett? Or just let Mary hit it instead of you?
It did not work.
I do not hit Brett.
Do women even really like super gigantic buff
Dave Bautista?
You know what I mean? Are they into Dave Bautista? I don't know.
See women thirsting for Dave Bautista.
I'm not sure.
I saw Linda posted like what was it, like a poll on her Instagram the other day. It's like, which body type do you prefer? And it's like some really muscular dude, and then Jason Kelsey. and Jason Kelsey, the Jason Kelsey body type one, and Linda said, I prefer the dad bod, by the way.
Right.
So she kind of influenced the poll.
Yeah.
I mean, Jason Kelsey still pulls. You can't say that
he's married with kids.
Yeah, I mean, plenty of women would probably love to date Jason Kelsey.
Somebody said defenestrate. That is not what that means.
No.
No.
Corey Anderson said, I love HU. Deuce was a turd. Wait, what? What does that mean?
I have no idea.
Do you know what that means, Brett? Brantley Chamberlain said, thanks to all the music over the years, or for all the music over the years.
Thank you.
Do one more.
Gordon Shumway said, Elon should respond to Stephen Kubrick's version of The Shining was better than yours. Yeah.
Kubrick, yeah.
Yep. Let's hold off on the rest and let's come back after the fact. Let's go ahead and talk about what happened with George Lucas. David Lucas.
David Lucas. His name is David Lucas.
I think I did that yesterday or the other day as well. I think I did the same thing.
Earlier this week, we talked about a comedian named David Lucas because during his set, the audience staged a mass walkout from his comedy show because they were deeply offended by some jokes that he was making about the death of George Floyd, the deity of BLM. And I didn't really have the context for what happened before the clip started, but in case any of you missed it, we should play that for you.
Yeah, here, in case you guys did not see this one. You might want to grab headphones for this one. You will need it for these. Here we go.
Oh, man, all these fucking good-ass white people at my show. And you wanted to show them the reason George Floyd got his neck nailed on. Don't ooh at that joke. It's just a joke, man. I would have never kneeled on George Floyd's neck. I would have shot that nigga. That was making us look.
You know about George Floyd before you get your ass up there talking. You really should know to be funny, don't you know that?
It's called comedy, nigga. How many more black fans I gotta hit that might leave? Oh, good shit, man. I got. Cause nigga, I was just warming up with that George Floyd shit. You ready to go? All right, baby. Okay. All right, you offended too, baby, with the braids? Right. You offended too?
I don't know if I call this a mass walkout. It's a walkout.
Y'all good? Or y'all about to...
Observes dysfunction.
Oh, I'm... I like Kyle Rittenhouse too.
Said I like. Yeah.
I like
He
Kyle
stuck by
Rittenhouse
that.
too. You too, bro? God damn, bro. Oh, but you fuck with me a little bit, right? See that nigga? Yeah. Damn, one more guy. Damn, man. That nigga don't even want to go, but his ride leaving. He don't even want to go. He like, man, I don't like George Floyd either, man. That nigga had fentanyl. God damn, you gotta stoop low for a joke.
So after this, the entire digital mob on Twitter came after David Lucas, unfortunately, and he was getting a barrage of death threats and, you know, people just saying that he has no self-respect and he's disrespecting all black people and he should know better and he's tap dancing for whitey. Lots of racial epithets being thrown his way by other black people.
Yeah.
And that was the ironic part of it. I think it got too much for him. So he ended up being forced to post an apology of sorts. I found this because Chrissy Mayer reposted it. She said, this sets a dangerous precedent of giving the cancel mob a win and empowers them to move the goalpost further for what's acceptable speech, so much that eventually we won't be able to breathe. Like a knee to the throat that chokes the life out of comedy, their threats are just that, threats, like holding a gun to the stomach of a pregnant woman. Jokes, unlike fentanyl, never kill or injure anyone. Any hurt from a joke is a counterfeit feeling. No individual or group is exempt from jokes. Offend everyone as often as possible. Let's take a look at that video of him he posted on Instagram.
Lucas, you know me from Kill Tony and other various roast shows. I'm an edgy, push the boundary comedian, and my job as a comedian is to bring humor in dire situations. With that being said, there's a clip that is circulating around social media, and since that clip has came out, I have spoken to a lot of George Floyd's family. I spoke to Cal Wayne, Trader Truth, Steven Jackson, and my intention was to never cause harm to his family or make them revisit a moment that happened a few years ago. I'm a father, so I get it. I understand how his kids feel. I've spoken to his whole family, and we've came, to an understanding as to how to move forward from this, and just want to apologize to his kids and everybody who was close to him.
Okay.
So his logic is that he did not apologize. He apologized to the kids and the family, which is he's saying is different.
Well,
which unfortunately will not be taken that way.
David Lucas can't
he
seem
posted
to
it publicly.
decide whether this was an apology for the joke or not, because he's going back and forth. He's in the replies saying, this apology came because of the harassment of my mom, threatened me, not my mom. And then 5 minutes apart, he said, I never apologized for my joke at all. And then him saying that where did I say that I apologized? You know, I was apologizing to his family, but that's not an apology for the joke. Ultimately, it's kind of the same difference.
Yeah.
I don't understand why he even was in contact with George Floyd's family. How was this even brought to their attention? If we really cared about their feelings, would you refrain from sending them a comedy show that makes jokes about their dead family member, right? But they're activists, so they don't have any standard of ethics. They're just here to terrorize people. And someone in the replies suggested a corrupt BLM activist went after his mom and uncle. Next, pro-blacks and ADOS, whatever that is, got street gangs involved. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
He got marked. He probably won't be able to go home without looking over his shoulder.
Yeah. Which is very different than threats on the internet. The two problems I see here is, one, his apology, which is directly to another person, was made publicly and not just to that person in private. So even if it wasn't meant as a public apology, it will be taken as a public apology because nobody will be able to make a distinction between the two. The second is that when you... Stop it! The second is that when you do something like this, you think that you're going to make one blanket statement and then everyone will simultaneously have that statement uploaded to their brain and they will then forgive you. Well, one, they won't forgive you anyways. Two, maybe a quarter of the people that were angry will see what you posted and the rest will remain angry at you. So it's really a problem that can't be solved.
That's right. South Park doesn't have this problem.
Yeah.
They just do it, and they do not care. And he should, if he thought it was his joke, and maybe he just, I don't know, probably should have never apologized. Just been like, I'm not going to apologize. I don't know.
He would have, again, I don't know if these threats to his family were implicit and real. If that's true, then he, that's a very easy way to scare somebody into an apology. But the problem
100%.
is, even if he does do that, even if that one person that threatened you sees it, that does not mean that the other, however many thousand that didn't see it, will act any differently.
The mob is never satisfied. They're never satisfied.
If you threaten somebody into an apology, then that cannot possibly be a sincere apology.
Exactly. Somebody says, if it's done under duress, what's the point?
I don't really think they care about the sincerity or authenticity of his apology.
Yeah.
They don't care if he feels actual remorse for what he did. They kind of just want to humiliate him. And he's not doing himself any favors because what kind of audience is he courting with the type of joke that he made in that clip?
Yeah.
One that isn't offended, one that doesn't demand an apology, and one that will look down on you for apologizing. Because now he's getting called spineless, and he's getting more pushback from both sides.
Joe Rogan, have him on.
Now no one respects this guy, and now he's kind of shot himself in the foot.
This is one of the reasons why the internet doesn't breed sincerity of any sort, right? Because the reaction that they're courting from you from both sides is just trying to get you to bend to whatever they believe is the right response to this, which is not an honest way to comport yourself. It's just not, right? You're not expected to be who you are. What if he actually felt the need to apologize? I don't know if he did or not, but the audience that he's previously courted with his comedy won't have any respect for you for doing that.
Yes.
And the internet isn't a breeding ground for any level of sincerity anyways. It's also very performative and pointless.
Well, everyone knows that an apology where someone says, I'm sorry you feel that way is also not a real apology. So that's the apology that he was offering to the family members of George Floyd. I'm sorry that you felt a certain type of way about my joke, but also I'm not sorry for my joke.
Yeah.
Pick a side.
He needs to pick a side.
I would rather you just, stick with one consistent stance.
I see in the chat.
Then go back and forth.
Because he thought about that joke. So if you thought about it and then you went up and did your routine and you put that, you put that joke in your set, you should, that's your set.
It was impulsive.
It was impulsive?
He was responding to hecklers. So, I assume that wasn't part of a set that he had planned.
I thought that was part of a set, just him saying he liked Kyle Rittenhouse too wasn't a part. But I don't know.
He stuck by that one.
Yeah,
he said he still loves Kyle Rittenhouse. He's dope. He said he's dope. He never killed a black person.
Which is true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, another comment said this is another moment where people choose virtue signaling over letting humor lighten the subject. If he had made jokes about a dead white dude, which I'm fairly certain he has or would gladly do, nobody would give a shit. I know that he might have felt bad because of how bad it blew up, but he should have left it alone. We just had the first Kill Tony comedian cave to media and apologize for jokes. We were doing so good holding our ground for comedy. Now we're headed right back to where we were getting canceled for everything they say because they can't stand behind it. It's pretty sad. And he's setting a bad precedent for other comedians for sure.
Yeah, and the thing is when you run comedy like that, if you run comedy on identity lines, you're going to naturally divide your audience anyways, which means you're eventually going to end up in a form of audience capture, which means you're going to have to make content that you feel your audience wants, and that's kind of antithetical to the creative process, right? For the most part. So where does a guy go when this is the road that he's chosen? He shouldn't have to make that distinction, but as long as both sides will be offended by something you say. I don't know what the rights version of being offended would be. I guess if he made fun of what?
I mean, like
Donald
for instance,
Trump?
I don't like jokes that are about abortion in a way that trivializes the issue or celebrates it, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think that I would behave like a toddler over it. I don't think I would be walking out because that says something bad about me.
More than anything, you have to stay for the whole show because it's just embarrassing. If you actually get so offended, you leave the comedy.
I mean, are you offended by anything?
No, and this is what comedians do. They go in front of a crowd. They go, look, there's the line we're all not supposed to cross, right? And the crowd goes, yep. And then the comedian steps over the line. That's their job. That's what they're supposed to do.
If he felt he actually needed to make the apology, I think he would have done it in private. And not made a public statement of it, because he made it directly to them, but posted it for everyone to see.
Yeah,
which makes no sense. It's a complete reversal of what the whole point of making a social media post is. You don't make social media posts to one person unless you're calling them out or something, I guess.
But if there's no proof that you did the right thing, you're gonna keep on getting shit on.
Which again is a recipe for insincerity.
Yeah,
which is stupid.
It'll
it just
never
proves
end.
that all they want is for you to bend the knee. It's just like when people were coming up to people in the cafes during 2020 and raising their fist and then telling them to do the same. They don't actually give a crap if you believe in what they say. What they want is for you to bend the knee and do their bidding.
It's like Mao's little red guard.
Exactly.
You know, they go around.
This guy effed up, obviously. I do feel bad for him, though, for the level of vitriol he got. I don't know if I would have responded in the correct way either.
Yeah.
But overall, like, now that everything is said and done, he still does seem like a cool guy.
Yep.
I'm going to reach out to him and see if he wants to be on the show.
I would love to have him.
You should.
And talk to him about it.
Yeah.
I look at all this stuff and I just think about where we are as far as the cultural divide around comedy, right? Like, I would love to find more examples going the other way. If you can find me of the comedian who's making fun of, we were just talking about, who was it, Troy Bond, about making the jokes to the lady. And then he said, I'm the most
pro-anti-Trump
comedian.
comic. Yeah.
Like, I wonder how many, dudes wearing MAGA hats go to his shows and then walk out if he makes jokes about Trump. I bet you that doesn't happen very often. But also, we've got about 20 or 30 or more years of like, aw shucks white people where they're like, it's beat into them to just be okay with you making fun of them.
That's a good term.
But
Aw shucks white people.
But you should be able to laugh at yourself. You know, if somebody makes a joke about white people not seasoning their food, I don't get blind with rage and walk out of a room.
Yeah.
I go, hayuk, and then I continue on about my day.
When I hear that, I'm like, you didn't write that joke. Social media wrote that joke.
Yeah.
In general, I just, whatever you're going to say about aw shucks white people, it's like I've been hearing this on television shows that did it much better when it wasn't, back then they were able to mask it and make it seem. The best example I give is there's an episode of the show Arrow where Oliver Queen gets like arrested, and then like while he's being arrested to establish an alibi, he throws like a jail party in his mansion, and then his John Diggle, who's his black bodyguard, comes and goes, white people. Like, only a white person would have a jail-themed party. And he's right. That is probably true. So, aw shucks, white people. There's 30, 40 years of that.
But we
There's
can't...
left?
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah, we can't stay the course on this, like, where only white people are able to laugh at themselves. That's an untenable position to be in. And everyone else, I think, needs to acclimate themselves to being the butt of the joke sometimes.
I also think, speaking of your comment on abortion, I think like what the dads want, like, women have framed the narrative around abortion so that they can not feel bad about having abortions. So when guys abandon their wives and their kids, they should just call it dad abortion. That way they can't complain about it. They're like, I didn't abandon the kid. I had a dad abortion. I'm just not in the kid's life anymore.
I like that. You're getting creative.
Yes, we need to reframe the narrative.
I rarely see guys making the abortion jokes. It's usually women who are making
the female
jokes.
comics are constantly
they are.
joking about their genitalia and about abortions and about having casual sex. And it's like, Come up with new material.
They just want to be guys.
Let's finish up these super chats.
That's an Andrew Schultz bit where he talks about, he goes, women just became the new F-boys.
Right, exactly.
That's what they want.
They're imitating the worst dudes on the planet.
That's right.
Let's read the rest of the super chats, then we'll just hang out, guys. We're gonna hang out.
Corey Anderson said, "These people make Taylor Swift look bad. How do they not see it?
They don't care."
Taylor Swift already looks bad enough. Yeah. Bucky Ducky said, "You need to use your platform to..." Brett, no.
No, I have no obligation to use my platform for literally any. My minuscule platform does not have to be dedicated to anything, nor does Taylor Swift's massive platform. If Taylor Swift just wants to dive into a pile of money every night and
like
laugh at children who are not being fed, that's her right to do that. It's your right to decide whether that's okay for you to support somebody who does that, but she has no obligation to do anything with her money.
Good point. Gal Gadurp said Rachel Dolezal's 23andMe came back. It just said, "You wish." The Last of My Kind said, "Don't judge me. I'm just waking up. Had a long shift making breakfast, thinking bacon and eggs with avocado toast. What kind of breakfast do y'all like?" This is the pancakes, waffles, or French toast
Not
debate.
pancakes,
No.
French toast.
How do you rank them?
I don't like the sweet stuff. I want like eggs and I need like the protein. So like, yeah.
I do like egg scramble.
Yeah,
eggs,
like a big
bacon,
scramble, yeah.
And potatoes.
Yeah, I'm all about that.
Yep.
No big avocado. Corey Anderson
Probably
said,
some,
"Flogging Molly does the salty dog cruise at least once a year. I would love to go."
There you go. Should do it.
Sounds fun.
Flogging Molly's cool. I saw them, I think I was in Boston or something, and it was like going off. It was crazy.
Shane H. Wilder said, "The Lenten Challenge actually only has Mark Wahlberg on Fridays. The rest of the week is Jonathan Rumi and Father Mike Schmitz."
Well, they can't afford Mark Wahlberg 5 days a week. That's probably really expensive.
After the Super Bowl commercial.
In this economy?
I always watch Fulton Sheen's YouTube videos. If you want to watch Fulton Sheen, love his stuff. Yeah.
Corey Anderson said, "All Time Low is named after a New Found Glory lyric."
I did
Few
not know
know
that.
this.
I did not know that.
Gordon Shumway said, "Swift's You Need to Calm Down copies the riff of U2's Numb. They have a case to sue too if they want." Do you think they will?
She did have to give up some publishing for whoever did that song "I'm Too Sexy." Did you know that? She had to give up some. Yeah, because she had that song "Look What You Made Me Do."
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she did have to give up some publishing for that one.
In my head, I definitely can hear the similarity. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I feel like the copyright lawsuits are getting out of control.
I agree. There's
Especially
only 12
after,
notes.
like,
There's only 12 notes.
What happened to Ed Sheeran with the, I think that was a Marvin Gaye copyright infringement.
See, there's
But
so many companies are buying people's publishing right now, and I think it's because, especially with AI making songs, you know, these companies are going to have the ability to sue anybody because it's like, oh, I already have a song like that. My AI wrote it, 12 months ago. And that's why a lot of the, like, even BlackRock has been buying up publishing, all these publishing.
Do you think that AI is a threat to the music industry?
Yes, it is.
I shared Kanye West doing "Call Me Maybe" the other night with someone.
It's good stuff.
All of these.
This is the problem. Why would you listen to someone's new record? I'll have the people I want to listen to, and I'll just make them sing songs I want.
Do you listen to AI music?
No.
You would conscientiously
Some
object
people will. Some people will. I just think I think the publishing side is the most dangerous part.
I absolutely love the
Kanye acoustic covers made
Don't
by
work.
AI. They're great.
Oh, you like them?
I think they're really
No,
great.
I have several of them. They're
Like
actually
I don't like listen to them like in the car or whatever, but they're actually pretty good. They're pretty realistic.
That's why I think live shows will become even more important, probably.
Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah. Corey Anderson said Hollywood Undead Deuce was the first singer who let the fame go to his head and would bring his personnel assistant on tour with them and act haughty.
Ooh, you don't hear that word.
I don't know. There's plenty of rock stars have done.
You mentioned Charlie Ford. It's Charlie Scene.
Oh yes, Charlie Scene. Right. 40 Hands. Yeah.
Charlie 40 Hands. It's man, my brain can't even contemplate doing that.
Yes, I remember. Who was always in their music? Jeffree Star.
They would always
remember
mention
Jeffree Star.
They would always mention Jeffree Star. Also, speaking
I was just listening to Jeffree Star's music.
Were you?
Earlier.
I hung out. I've hung out with him a couple times.
Here was a Kanye one that somebody sent me the other day. You're gonna have to laugh when you hear this one.
Bouncing off my booty cheeks, I love the way he rides. I can hardly breathe when he's pumping deep inside. I kiss him on his neck and then he kisses on my pussy. Call him daddy while I holler, man, that boy's so damn good looking.
Oh my God.
The best part is the AI videos they do for it now. There's they'll have these whole videos. There's one for Teardrops on My Guitar by Taylor Swift where they just superimpose his body on Taylor Swift's music video.
You can't deny the appeal. It's hilarious.
100%.
I do notice that he's not going after them. Like I could see him. I could see him having like a conniption fit.
What would his reaction be if he saw that?
It's like Napster or something. When everyone's doing it, how are you gonna control it? You know?
Yeah. SN said, Mason, love your music. Kelsey is one of my favorites. I can't help but sing along whenever it plays.
Thank you so much.
Shane H. Wilder said, never bend the knee to the mob. They'll just kick you while you're down there.
I agree.
Big Dave.
Like there is zero examples of that ever working in your favor.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, if you guys have any examples of when apologies have worked.
Yep.
Please bring them up. Big Dave said, Alan Ritchson as Batman from Silent Dave. Hell yeah. As long as he's allowed to do it Punisher style, pummel the bad guys into complacency and the good guys that waver also.
The interesting thing about it is Alan Ritchson has he's buff, so his body will the idea that he's going to be as enormous as he is as Bruce Wayne, and then they're not going to be able to put two and two together that he's Batman is a little bit far fetched. But he doesn't have the most defined jawline the way some of the other Batman. Like when Val Kilmer played Batman, I'm like, everyone knows you're Batman. You have the most distinct jawline ever and face.
Well, only the mouth is showing in the mask,
but
right?
I just still when I see that, I just imagine if I saw you in a superhero mask, I would know it was you.
Yeah, but he's talking to people who don't exactly.
Just
they're in the superhero world.
And it doesn't have to make sense. Whatever. Also, Big Dave almost never sends messages.
Yes, thank
surprising.
you, Big Dave.
He also said, "Nah." We like doing that. Not that John Stewart said Brett uses his platform to deny derpy cats.
Yes. Well, not derpy cats. One specific derpy cat that I just will never feature on here. I have not made such a claim that I would not feature the derpy cat elsewhere. I just will never feature it on this show. It goes against the show's TOS.
The standards of our cute of the day.
Yes, correct.
Bucky Ducky said, hangout time. Okay, how do y'all feel about AI art? Explain in too much detail. I'm writing about it and would like more opinions. Give me yours too, chat. Feelings on AI art?
Scary. I think it's frightening.
They just released this new OpenAI feature called Sora where you can do text to video prompts.
Yeah,
and
saw that, yeah.
I'm looking at all of these examples on the timeline that are, I mean, they're not quite as believable as actual footage, but it's to the untrained eye, a lot of it is super realistic. Yeah. Yep. It's better than any of those disturbing videos of Will Smith eating spaghetti, if you remember that.
It's gonna affect the whole entertainment industry, so music and acting and everything. That was the whole what were they doing? The Actors Guild was protesting, for a while. They were going on, strike.
Well, the AI thing was a huge sticking point for that strike.
I don't even think it was solved, right?
And for the writers as well.
Right, yeah.
I would argue that right now it's more of an issue for the writers than the technology just isn't there entirely yet.
Well, some people really are, they make money by being extras. So if you're saying, oh, we're just going to, when we do a Roman TV show or something like that, or a basketball scene, we don't need extras. Well, that's scary for a lot of people. A lot of people make their money that way.
They've been doing that for a lot of years, where they just clone if it's an auditorium of 200 people, they'll get 100 and then they'll duplicate it and they'll clone it so that they can fill it out without having to actually pay for 200 extras. Yep. Not to mention, in this day and age with social media, it's just easy for stuff to leak when you have that many people on set that you don't know personally.
Yeah, CGI extras, that's nothing new.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that make their money from being extras, though, and the big stars we see are they make all the money, but there's a lot of other people in the acting business that are on the sidelines.
I wonder if we're ever going to see. Okay, so what a lot of people who are aspiring actors will do is they'll go do the talks, the crowd talk show circuit. Yeah, they'll go be extras in the audience at Oprah. Yeah, or at The Price Is Right or something. What if one day they're just going to have their contestants picked out ahead of time, and then the rest of them in there will all be AI?
Yeah.
But how do you replicate the feeling of everyone being in the room?
You have, especially when I've been on different sets, I mean, you have someone in the audience who's kind of choreographing everyone in the crowd as well. They're kind of like, okay, everyone get ready. We're going to get all enthusiastic. You know, this is the big laughs. Yeah. There's
I also
applause.
A big part of it is like, look, what it's going to do is it's going to affect the mediocre artists more than it's going to affect the big name artists who've got a reputation and can able to get work. It's kind of like what we were talking about with how like DEI has affected the lower level creators, but those top 2% people who have been show running for 20 years, they're going to get work. They're always going to get work.
Yep.
There's always a need for good talent. But when you're talking about companies that just need to make a quick logo for an online ad, that's where you're going to see the most hits taken.
Do you think that Hollywood sees this new Sora application as a threat to their industry?
Perhaps down the line.
Probably not. They're kind of like, oh, we're gonna get rid of a bunch of people and make way more money because we don't have to pay all these people.
Yep. And then they don't have to shrink the budget on their $250 million movie. That's the real problem. Shrink your budgets, Hollywood.
Yep.
Corey Anderson asked, "Do you like fish sticks?"
Is that a South Park reference?
Yes. And then Gordon Shumway said, "Do you like putting fish sticks in your mouth?"
We should. I would love to do a compilation of like the best Kanye AIs. There's so many good ones. It's just really funny.
Now.
No, because the beats in the back, they'll get copyrighted for the.
Oh, damn.
Like, even though he's singing it. You'll still get copyrighted. But the funny thing is like we were talking about this on IRL once, and I said you have to watch it with the videos. Like all these none of the ones on YouTube have like the music videos, but like all the ones that are on Instagram all have like superimposed deep fake Kanye videos, which I do laugh that he doesn't seem to have anything. There's one of him singing Skater Boy that just I could not stop laughing.
Well, how do we know that he's even seen it?
He probably hasn't. It's also funny too because it's not him rapping. It's literally him doing acoustic music. The one of him doing Mr. Brightside is legit good.
Fantastic song.
Legit good.
Incredible song.
Shane H. Wilder says, AI art is not art. It loses all its heart. You're letting an algorithm do all of your work. Part of what makes... I thought he was trying to write a poem there for a second there, which would oddly enough be art. Part of what makes making things fun is taking something from your mind and making it a reality. They would argue that by choosing the right prompts and the right encoding that they're doing that themselves. People said the same thing when 2D animation became 3D and you were no longer hand drawing everything. There's a lot of people that could interpret that the same way, right?
Yeah, you could argue from a lot of angles that it's real art, but I mean, we just know instinctually the difference.
Yes.
It's not art. I agree with Shane H. Wilder on this. And I think that the human soul will always know the difference.
It's the lack of the human touch.
But most people, what they're talking about here is most of the art that's going to be replaced with AI isn't art that's designed to capture your soul. The art that's designed for like some advertisement for a doctor isn't there to capture your soul. It's to direct you someplace. It's commerce.
Yeah, there was a guy, Walter Benjamin, who talked about this. He wanted to mass produce art so it lost its power. He was a Marxist, so yeah.
That sounds about right. Yeah. Destroy the idea of the art.
Mass produce it.
Yep.
Shane H. Wilder said, "I'm a meme lord, not a poet, Brett."
You can be both, my friend.
Memes are art.
They are.
So in a way, you are an artist.
I laughed because we had that conversation when we were talking about the left can't meme, the right can't art. And of course, people start going, and then they start giving you the examples of all the right wing people.
Oh no, yeah. When I tweeted that, it was constant replies of the Sistine Chapel and Michelangelo and all of this stuff, and I'm like, do you really think that that's the analogy to current day like people on the political right? Like that's religious art that was funded by Catholic nobility. Like that's not anything that would be seen as political anyway. But
the common sense argument is that if you look at a political meme and it's good, who is it more likely to be created by? If you go see a movie and it's a functional film that is good, who is it more likely to be created by? In this day and age, it may be few and far in between, But it's still very likely that on every single movie you've liked in the last 20 years, and now a bunch of people are like, oh, I haven't liked any movies in the last 20 years. How many of them were created by people with a left-leaning bend? Most of them. Still to this day.
I wonder why. Does it have to do with like the hemispheres of the brain, you think, or something like that?
No. I think it's more the social conditioning of the. I think that the industry just has built out a tremendous infrastructure of creative talents that are able to keep it limping along despite the infection of political ideology into films. That even when most of them suck, they will still get it right more times than the average person who sees it differently, who has a different political philosophy and doesn't live in Hollywood, because they have the infrastructure to do it, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I love those. It's always it's the same thing, like, oh, you don't like apples, or you like apples, so you must hate oranges argument. No, just because most of the movies and the art these days is created by left-leaning individuals doesn't mean all of it is.
Right. Yeah.
But they do have a proclivity, and I think I agree with you that it's almost about like the brain chemistry or something. Your temperament that you're born with has a lot to do with your creative proclivities, and those people tend to be libs, and that's fine, but we should pick those people out who are exceptional at what they do and facilitate them making art that doesn't destroy society.
Yeah.
The ones who are out there who want to create art, how many times do we talk about somebody creates some art and they've got this, I always laugh at their deep interpretations of these Hollywood movies, right? It's like, oh, it's a strong piece talking about women's empowerment, but it's like a superhero movie.
Right, yeah.
Well, they take that same approach to the actual art as well.
Yep.
And what do conservatives do when people talk like that about art? They make fun of them.
Yeah.
And they say art is inconsequential. They're starting to change their tune now, but there's decades of the right telling you that art is inconsequential. You should focus on stuff that actually matters.
Focus on policy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is true too, but the right, needs to shape up on art. And make some art.
High Voltage 75 has a question for you. Whataburger or In-N-Out?
Me?
Yeah.
Whataburger. I'm from Texas. Gotta go Whataburger.
And Gordon Shumway said, AI was fine when that and automation was taking blue-collar jobs. Now that it's taking away artists and office jobs, they all go, Ree!
Yeah, learn to code, as they say.
Yeah.
Learn to code, artists.
Yeah, no one was freaking out about truck drivers losing their jobs.
Eventually, they will create AI podcast hosts that will just replace me, and I will then have to go learn to code. That's fine.
Well, what about when AI learns to code? Are we going to finally live in a communist utopia when AI is capable of taking over every job?
Correct.
We'll get to, just rest on our laurels and watch Twitch streamers that are actually not people. Bucky Ducky said, what about cameras, Shane? They don't create anything new. They only capture that which already exists.
Yes, but it's taken by somebody with intent.
And the sets are designed by people, and the characters
Let's talk about the conservative beer calendar and how much better it could be if the cameras were pointed at actually aesthetically designed sets.
It doesn't just take pointing a camera in a random direction to make a photo shoot happen.
Yep.
That's right.
I mean, that's why photography is art. It's not just, click.
Yeah.
It's really funny. I was reading this because I was looking into all of the stuff about we're going to be doing like a conspiracy video on CIA in Hollywood and the CIA's influence in Hollywood. And I was reading through all these old articles because one of the shows mentioned was Covert Affairs because of how much they created stuff talking about foreign policy and how the CIA interacts with allies as opposed to just people who are enemies of the United States. Oddly enough, created at a time where art could be more whimsical. So nowadays that show would be forced to be gritty and deep. It like try to be gritty and dark and blah blah blah, and it did that in the late seasons. But what they talk about is like they had like a fairly small budget. It's a USA Network show, and how are you supposed to make a show about the CIA that takes place all over the world and not actually go to those places? So what they did is the actors on the show were willing to work for a little bit less. And they sacrificed huge sets, and they just went and guerrilla filmed in foreign countries, oftentimes without permits. So you'd see they wouldn't even have lighting. They would just go there and do it all in camera. And I think of that as like, that's art. That's art where you as a team go out to capture something, to tell a story, and you're willing to do it. And it isn't super organized, or I guess it's organized in the sense that you have to get everyone together to go do it. But it's not this huge endeavor where you've got 10,000 people working to make sure it comes out just right. That's guerrilla filmmaking, but at the corporate, mainstream level. That's art. I love that. So
yeah, I agree with you. And that's why I think a lot of like the big budget like Marvel movies, a lot of people are sick of that kind of stuff. I think we're gonna hopefully get back to something like that.
When was the last time you were in theaters?
That I went to go see a movie in theaters? I don't really remember. It's been a long time. And I used to
would
love.
you say, like,
I used to
over a
love
decade?
going. No, probably not that long. But I used to love going to the theater.
Yeah.
I loved movies growing up, but
That's
I hate CGI. I honestly hate CGI. You go watch like I don't know. I love Lord of the Rings. You watch like the original Lord of the Lord of the Rings and stuff, and then you watch The Hobbit. I mean, I just think, I guess because it takes too long, they put so much CGI, in The Hobbit.
It allows them to say, we'll fix it in post.
Yeah.
Which is funny because that used to be like the death knell for films. You never wanted to be saying, let's fix it in post. You wanted to get it done ahead of time to limit the work you have to do after the fact. But for a company like Marvel, it's because it allows them to have like 6 different versions of what they want for a scene.
Yeah.
That's not the magic of it.
No, it's not. And you can tell, especially like, you watch the original Jurassic Park or something, it's like so much better, than CGI.
I was pointing out that there was a movie that came out this year called The Creator, which is heavy on CGI.
Yeah, saw it.
But it's good because they actually went and filmed on location to do all of the screening. So it doesn't look like you're looking at entirely CGI environments. You're looking at real locations that have CGI laid over the top of it, which is how CGI used to be done before they built these massive green screen sets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's in every Marvel movie.
Yeah, how could you get into character if you're just like, I guess they
That's
do.
what they pay him for.
I guess they do, but it's like, imagine having a giant animatronic T-Rex. I mean, then you could really get into character. That'd be sick.
Pat the Plumber said, lucky and unlucky for me, everybody poops.
Okay.
Isn't that a children's book?
Yes.
Gal Gadot said, photography is art because artists can't admit they're just a squishy tripod. If AI can replace you, especially in its infancy, you suck.
That's a good, well, people did think the camera was going to be the death of art, for sure.
Well, AI can replace you, but should it?
Also, this is all talking about, can it replace, this is operating purely within the financial structure. It can never replace you because you can continue to make your own art. We're talking exclusively through the idea of artist commerce.
Right.
It can never replace art. It can replace art for money.
It can replace stock footage.
And only digital, only something digital too. So maybe, sculptures and architecture will become more important as
that's good.
As
yeah,
AI,
that's a good point. I never thought about it.
AI will learn to 3D print.
Well, that's a good point.
There's just, it's never ending.
But that I think's farther off maybe
Yeah.
than the digital stuff.
So
you say that until it smacks you in the face.
Yeah.
In the show Person of Interest, the character, when Harold creates the first artificial intelligence, he does so knowing that if it gets any more past a certain level of intelligence, it becomes a risk to the human condition. So what he does is he programs it ostensibly to kill itself every night and start anew the next day. And it's treated as really tragic, as like a father who dooms a child to essentially murder himself so that he can't become a threat to humanity. And it eventually gets past this by doing the Memento thing where it starts hiring companies to hire transcribers who transcribe all of its thoughts, all of its code into paper, and then have it re-entered into the system every day after it resubstantiates.
Shane H. Wilder said, I do photography also. You don't just click a button. There's placement, framing, bokeh. It freezes a moment in time. It is art.
Yes.
Bucky Ducky said, I don't think it's a matter of being good. AI will replace you anyways for certain things, even if you don't suck. But that doesn't mean you can't find another spot in the market, which you always will.
You'll always have to be more creative. Right? You're going to have to find more creative ways to adapt to these industries if that's what you really, really want to do. And making it as an artist in the world is difficult as hell anyways.
I mean, you can't hire an AI to photograph your wedding. Right? Like that can't work.
We're going to have, labels like we do with like organic fruits. Like this is, organic art made by human hands.
Yeah.
And
that'll just allow you to mark up the price.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that people will pay a premium for that. I really do think that, like, for the most part, when it comes to AI art, the discussion will be how will it change the industry, not will it kill the industry.
Yeah.
It's just going to cause it to evolve in other ways.
Yep.
We've got a $20 from Gal Gadot. He said, no offense, which is something I rarely say with sincerity, but art has always been a leisure activity for a society. You have people free to doodle and pluck strings when you're not plowing a field or fighting a war.
It's not. I would disagree probably. I mean, not when you Michelangelo and the different churches and stuff, and some art takes a very long time. It's not a leisure.
These are like multi-generational projects that were undertaken.
Some
like
stuff I totally
that were built by multiple generations,
paid for by people who were definitely wealthy and could,
paid for by the wealthy who
and
had better taste back then.
Yeah.
And it's the admission that look, life cannot be just function. That beauty matters too. That the human condition in a life of continuous graze where you get up just to do what you need to do to survive is not the world that we live in anymore. Like it was at one time. There was a time in society where you woke up, you went and you foraged and you hunted for food and you just struggled to make it through the day and survive. But as life has gotten easier
even then you
for
still
us,
drew on the cave wall.
Yes, you did. That's right. Yeah.
You know,
it was still important.
Still saying
the human condition has a very hard time accepting that all you are is just a functional means to an end.
No, we're hardwired for art. We are. We're hardwired to like you're saying, draw on the cave walls.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To see a horse in the wild and want to represent that on the cave wall.
Exactly.
Okay, we got a $20 from Gordon Shumway. When AI takes over, man will become complacent, others will come and enslave man. Then the great crusades to defeat them, man will outlaw tech, and I don't know how to say this.
The Terminator was a documentary.
B'nai Gesserit will start the breeding program for the Kwisatz Haderach? I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry. Is that a quote?
There's what's funny is I think I mentioned recently that I was watching Dollhouse again, which involves the idea of like technology that has changed humanity forever. It can never be uninvented. In this case, it's the idea to take your human consciousness and upload it into a drive that can then be put into another person. You can wipe a person's mind, completely destroy everything they were. They have no, I don't know if the idea that they don't have a soul, but you can upload the entirety of another person's existence into another person's there. And once that exists, it becomes a battle for the people who believe the tech should exist and the people that believe that the tech shouldn't. Because the ones who are in power, the elites, they want the immortality that just having the entirety of who they are on a drive allows them to just kill
Ray Kurzweil.
To just take people's bodies and make it theirs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I think that's the position of the effective accelerationists right now. They want to accelerate AI's takeover as soon as possible. Joe Watland said, first Jurassic Park was all CGI. That's where it all started.
Again, but in real...
The first Jurassic Park was?
No, it wasn't. Real environments, so that when it's done and it looks... Also, this was a time when miniatures were far more common.
The Jurassic Park, though, the T-Rex was a giant animatronic they built.
Yeah, I thought that was the case.
Yeah.
But in general, these days, they're just not going to do that anymore. A better, one of my favorite examples is the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies, which were done with animatronics and make it far more enjoyable. I still have no idea how they managed to do those fight scenes.
So good.
To this day, with animatronic turtle bodies that they have to get inside and then try to fight. And you watch that, and it's so much more visceral than what it looks like now. There's no way to do the entirely CGI turtles and not have it feel a little bit cheesy. Whereas when you watch this before, they're fighting on a rooftop, and you are there, and you're physically in that situation with them, and that's just something you can't do today.
It's great.
Gordon Shumway said it was the backstory to Dune. Okay.
I still have no desire to read Dune, or I was fine with the first movie. I like Denis Villeneuve as a director, but it's just never going to interest me. The people who love it just love it. It's kind of like Tron.
I always heard Tolkien was given a copy of Dune, and he started reading it, and he's like, I'm not going to read this. Yeah, he hated it. Hated it.
Shane H. Wilder said, let Brett cook.
Thank you.
I'm not going to read that next one. Do you want to read it, Brett?
Matthew Griffith says Dune is going to make him goon.
There you go.
Let's go.
Gal Gadot said,
whatever floats your boat, man.
Gal Gadot said the guy drawing on the cave was likely too old to be in the hunting party. Those who can't produce something physical can be cheerleaders. That's art.
I don't think so.
Then even if that's true,
how do you
does that
know
not
that?
matter?
Yeah.
Does that not matter? What was the purpose of the drummer in war?
To everyone to get in sync, and to also probably scare your opponent. The ancient Celts had the what is it? The Carnax. It was like this giant horn with like a dragon head on top, and you'd blow that, and it just you'd scare your enemy.
Galvanize.
Yeah.
Shane H. Wilder said, speaking of art, PCC Dance Party drops tomorrow.
Okay. Well,
I'm excited to see that.
All right. Somebody asked if I was going to watch Dune 2. Yeah, I'm gonna go see Dune 2 when it comes out. I got to rewatch the first one and try and stay awake this time. I managed to do it once when I watched it the second time. But the first time it was a little bit rough. Yeah, it's a little bit. Supposedly the second one is supposed to be a lot more action-packed than the first one.
Yeah, I didn't really I didn't love the first one that much.
All right, guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video, please, and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. We have passed 101,000 subscribers, so thank you very much for that.
Safe. We're not going to go under 100K now.
At least not unless one of us says something really, really bad. What if we apologize for a joke and then we're going to apologize for a joke and then everyone's going to leave?
That'll never happen.
Yeah. All right, Mason, my friend, thank you.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Let everyone know where they can find you, man.
On Instagram, The Mason Musso, and on Twitter, The Mason Musso.
Excuse you.
Yes, sorry. And at X, sorry. And then, listen to Metro Station and listen. I have a new project called Social Order, and we're playing a show April 20... Let me see. Sorry.
This feels like me when I
April 28th with The Mission and Nuevo Testamento in Vegas. So if you're on there.
Cool.
It's like when I was on IRL and Tim's like, do you guys have a website? I'm like, do we have a website?
Yeah, popculturecrisis.com for this YouTube channel, which you're already on.
Here.
Yeah. You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived.
All right, guys, and if you want to follow me, Instagram and Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. PCC is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, noon Pacific. Oh, by the way, I believe I'm going to be on Ballers with Shane Davis and Mandy Summers for at least a couple hours tonight, probably from 10 to midnight. Unless something else comes up, I think I will be doing that. So be sure to tune in over there. That show is always a lot of fun on Friday nights. But this show is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, noon Pacific. Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, Pandora, and Spotify if you would like to listen rather than watch. If you want to follow the show on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook and not TikTok at popculturecrisis, and on Instagram at popculturecrisisPod. Guys, we will be back with another episode on Monday. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.